Welcome, 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 Cowboy fans, Cowboy haters alike. Tonight, we are doing the Late Late Show. Whether we get 1 or 1,000, we're going to talk football tonight. The NFL on Netflix. Pretty interesting today, I would say. Pretty interesting. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson and the goof up that the NFL made last year as it pertains to Lamar Jackson, and now they've painted themselves into a corner. We're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, solidifying that number one spot. Definitely got to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh. And then, of course, because this is Let's Talk Cowboys, we have some stories, and I believe they are breaking. I don't know if they're breaking stories, but some very good stories nonetheless as it applies to the Dallas Cowboys. So again, welcome to the Late Late Show. We just getting it started like I've been doing the last few shows. No introduction as far as the sheets and things like that. I mean, the countdown and things like that go. We just get right into it. So again, we'll be talking about Lamar Jackson and their win, and the Baltimore Ravens win today. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs win today. And then these Cowboys stories that are absolutely interesting. What's going on, Wicked? Man, you right on time, because we about to talk about your Pittsburgh Steelers in just a moment. But we about to get started. Just taking a couple of notes here. This Cowboys news is crazy. And it's really not crazy to me, because anybody who's been on this channel will know this is not going to be new when I tell you what I tell you. It's not going to be new. Okay, another story, it'll come to me in just a moment. I was trying to take some quick notes off the top of my dome about these Cowboys stories. Okay, yeah, this is the one I want to talk about. All right, let's get going. I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll be a few more people. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people might have had it's Christmas today, and so some people, they're probably still playing with their toys or whatever little stuff they got. I mean, adults get toys too, whether it be a car, a system, or something. But nevertheless. So first of all, let me put this on. I didn't even put this on here. The NBA might as well get ready. The NBA might as well get ready, y'all. The NFL is trying its best to take over all of television. And I don't know how you guys feel about basketball, but the basketball product is terrible. The product is terrible. And because the product, and what I mean by the product is terrible, it doesn't mean that the players are necessarily terrible. But it's all turned into nothing but a three-point fest. The game has gotten so boring. They got way too political for a few years. And now there's hardly nobody watching. The NBA ratings are down like insanity. And now the NFL is about to compound their problems by putting games on Christmas Day, because that's normally reserved for the NBA. But now the NFL says, no, we're going to invade that spot. There's nothing that the NBA can do. The NFL, literally, when you talk about sports, it's the best product. It's the best product out there as far as sports go. But the only problem when we talk about the NFL, I mean, because you think about it, I mean, for most of us, Christmas is pretty much over by 3 o'clock. Some people try to stretch it all the way out, but Christmas is over by 3 o'clock. There is there's no getting around it. People are already starting to look for other stuff to do around 3 or 4 o'clock. And so the NFL on Christmas Day, the NBA they can just forget about it now. It's over. They can either move off this day or get ran over because their product is not good enough. Their product is not good enough to compete with the NFL. And I'll say this as I talk about the NFL on Netflix real quick. I really applaud Netflix because the Mike Tyson fight was a debacle. I mean, it was loading and stuttering and jittering and freezing. And I was like, I don't think there's any way that Netflix can actually host another professional sporting event. But nevertheless, they had 2 games on today, and I was actually surprised at the presentation. The presentation was pretty much flawless, at least on my end. Presentation was flawless. I didn't see any hiccups, anything that made me say that Netflix need to leave sports alone. Nope, looked pretty good. Looked pretty good. So, here we go. Let's get into our first story with Lamar Jackson. And we're going to talk about that Pittsburgh Steelers game too. But let's talk about Lamar Jackson real quick. Now, I've talked about this before I had this channel. And I talked about it last year before I got this channel. And I've talked about it a little bit on X. But the strange thing is when you look at Lamar Jackson's 2023 MVP season, the NFL, they did some shiesty stuff. The NFL did some very shiesty stuff. Let me pull this up real quick. They did some real shiesty stuff, and they painted themselves into a corner. The MVP for 2023. And let me greet everybody, those of you who I can see. What's going on, Wicked? Yeah, we about to talk about these Pittsburgh Steelers for a minute, man. Jared Thomas, what's going on? Alex, what's going on? Troy, what's up, my man? Merry Christmas. Roderick, what's going on, man? He said Netflix stepped up again. They really did. They really did. And Netflix is they're gonna get some more of these sports too. What's going on, Wilson Santiago? I'm going to tell y'all something that a lot of people don't want to admit, but I said it the moment that it happened. The NFL absolutely, unequivocally robbed Dak Prescott of the MVP last year. They know doggone well that Dak Prescott was the MVP. He was. He was undeniably, and they know it. They let Lamar Jackson swoop in at the end. They let Lamar Jackson swoop in at the end because of a couple of games that he won. They let Lamar Jackson win the MVP. And because the Cowboys lost a couple of games. And when you look at the Miami game that they lost last year, they put that on Dak Prescott. That loss was not on Dak Prescott, and everyone knows it. Dak Prescott balled out in that Miami game, but they lost. And then they got beat by the Buffalo Bills. And Lamar Jackson came on strong down the end. But when you look at the stats from last year, Dak Prescott should have won that MVP, and they absolutely know it. I'm trying to pull up his 2023 stats. I'm just trying to pull up a generalization of them. Okay, so Dak Prescott in 2023, Dak Prescott played 17 games, 69.5% completion rate. He threw for 4,516 yards. He had 36 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. It was an insane year for Dak Prescott. And when you look at Lamar Jackson, he was 67.2, 3,678, 7 interceptions, and only 24 touchdowns. Dak Prescott won that MVP going away. And everybody know it. Everybody know it. It's a regular season award. And according to the regular season, Dak Prescott won that award. And they know he did. But because of the backlash, I believe that a lot of them felt like they were going to get if they gave it to Dak Prescott, or if they didn't win in the playoffs against Green Bay, but Dak gets that award, well, then everyone is kind of like, well, they don't want to deal with how could he get MVP. So they gave it to Lamar Jackson. But he didn't beat Dak. He did not outball Dak Prescott last year. He didn't. Now, let me say this. Lamar Jackson is a cheat code. Lamar Jackson is a cheat code. The things he does with his legs are incredible. Throw some good passes too, don't get me wrong. But what he does with his legs is incredible. And so how he looks may look better at times than what Dak is doing. But Dak last year, what Dak did looked way better than what Lamar Jackson was doing at times. Dak and CeeDee Lamb put on a show last year. They did. And the NFL has painted themselves into a corner. Because Lamar Jackson, if you look at these stats from last year, they're not better than Dak Prescott's. They're not. The stats don't look better. They don't. I mean, how do you beat Dak Prescott with the year that Dak Prescott had last year? How do you beat Dak Prescott with less yards, less touchdowns, less completion percentage? How do you do it? How do you do it? How did they allow Lamar Jackson to do this? Because they didn't want to give it to Dak Prescott. It's the only thing that makes sense. They didn't want it to give it to Dak Prescott. But Dak Prescott was insane last year. 4,500 yards? Insanity. Dak Prescott didn't win MVP. He wins runner-up because there's one person that voted for Dak. No, there was one person brave enough to vote for Dak. Because the reality is there is no getting around it. He was the MVP, hands down, last year. Now, I'm saying all that to say this. You know why the NFL has painted themselves into a corner? Let me show you why. See, they painted themselves into a corner now. Anybody who's been watching Lamar Jackson this year, is anybody paying attention to his stats? Folk running around talking about Josh Allen getting the MVP are crazy. Somebody said it's either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. No. Erase that or. It's Lamar Jackson. I want you to look at this. This dude, Lamar Jackson, is 3,955 yards, 39 touchdowns? What? 4 interceptions? They painted themselves into a corner. on a year where Josh Allen is having a real good year. Lamar Jackson is toppling that season. He is toppling that season. Do we realize Lamar Jackson has 2 more games to go? 2 more games to go, y'all, with 39 TDs, 3,955 yards. He is not only surpassing what he did last year, now he's surpassing what Dak Prescott did last year. Had he had these numbers last year, there's no argument. But last year, the argument was, no, he really didn't win it. He won it, but he didn't win it. They gave it to him. His numbers did not dictate it. They gave it to Lamar Jackson based on a snapshot of games rather than the whole season. No, Lamar Jackson's balled this whole season, and now he got him in a chokehold. There is no way you can justify giving Josh Allen the award. You can't. You can't unless you do to Lamar what you did to Dak last year. Unless you do to Lamar what you did to Dak last year. And Joe Shiesty, there could be an argument made that Joe Shiesty could also win it. But you can't give it to Joe Shiesty because he hasn't won enough games. See, that also is a part of the Dak Prescott rule. Because if you don't have enough wins, even if you have a lot of stats, we're not going to give you the MVP. Well, that's coming back to haunt him too, because Joe Burrow is having an incredible season. And Joe Burrow could easily be in this MVP race. He could easily be in this MVP race. Look at this right here. Tell me this isn't incredible. Joe Burrow, 4,229 yards and 39 touchdowns. 8 interceptions. Joe Shiesty, 2 more games to go also. It's insanity. The NFL has painted itself into a corner because of what they did to Dak Prescott last year. They painted themselves into a corner. You couldn't even justify giving Lamar. You couldn't even justify nowhere except with Dan Orlovsky. You couldn't justify to anybody else that this is even a race. The reality is it should be Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow messes around and goes 9-8, I think Joe Burrow will and should win it over Lamar Jackson. Because Joe Burrow doesn't have the team that Lamar Jackson has. And if Joe Burrow can really pile onto those yards, which I believe that he can, and pile onto those touchdowns, and if he messes around and get a couple of wins, then I could see where they say, okay, so we don't have to give it to Lamar Jackson. We can justify Joe Burrow with a winning record, 9-8, beating out Lamar Jackson. But there's no way you can justify giving it to the golden boy, Josh Allen. And they want to give it to Josh Allen. They want to. They love them some Josh Allen. They love them some Josh Allen. That's all you hear a lot of these guys talking about. But Lamar Jackson has quieted them talking about Josh Allen. And not only has he quieted them talking about Josh Allen, Joe Burrow has also quieted them talking about Josh Allen, especially since Josh Allen has gotten manhandled in a couple of these games that everybody thought that he should have won. They've gotten absolutely manhandled. I mean, what the Rams beat them. Was it the Rams? Yeah, I think it was the Rams that beat them. I mean, the New England game, he was atrocious in that game. Even though they pulled it out 24-21, they went to the ground game. I mean, when you look at some of these games, he's not quite having these games. Look at his stats. Allen isn't having this season. He's not having a season like Joe Shiesty and Lamar Jackson. The reality is he shouldn't even be in the discussion. And even when you talk about all pro, when you talk about all pro for the NFC, I think they only do 2 quarterbacks. I'm sorry. The reality, they're probably going to give it to Josh Allen because they want him to have one. But the reality is, first team and second team all pro, AFC, it's Joe Shiesty and Lamar Jackson. Hands down. Hands down. The NFL got a problem. They painted themselves into a corner doing foolishness last year. They painted themselves into a corner doing foolishness. And so now, what are they going to do? Because Lamar Jackson went out there today, and I mean Lamar Jackson, man, let me tell you something. We're in a very kooky part of the season. Y'all might as well just accept it, what it is. We're in a very kooky part of the season. And this, my friends, is one of the worst parts of the season that you can actually be in. Because what you're going to see down the stretch as you get into these divisional games, some of these teams in the division are head and shoulders better than these other teams in their division. I mean, these playoff teams like the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions, I mean, the Green Bay Packers, these guys in the top the top of the upper echelon of their playoff brackets, they're going to literally annihilate a lot of the lower tier teams in their division. And we are about to get, because there's only 2 games left, we are about to get some of the most lopsided games that you're going to see all season. I hate this for you. Man, I hate this for you, Wicked. But man, we gotta talk about this doggone we gotta talk about this Pittsburgh game, man. We gotta talk about this Pittsburgh game. What in the world today, Wicked? What in the world today? Man, the Pittsburgh Steelers, we just gonna have to admit, man, it is what it is. I mean, the truth of the matter is, what they are putting on the field at the quarterback position, Wicked, I think we're going to have to admit and I'm sorry, it was Baltimore. I'm sorry, Baltimore beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's go to the Steelers game first. That's the one I want to look at first. The Steelers game. I'm sorry. Lamar Jackson put hands on the Houston Texans. But let's look at this Pittsburgh Steelers game. Wicked, I think you're going to have to admit, and I think you've already admitted it. This issue with Russell Wilson, bro, they're going to have to get a quarterback. They're going to have to decide what they're going to do. They're either going to go with Justin Fields next year, or they're going to have to get a quarterback. As much as I like Russell Wilson, I believe that if they're going to let Russell Wilson come back another year, they're going to have to put a little bit more around Russell Wilson. He's just a little bit older up there in age, and he just can't do what he used to. Jared says it might be a co-MVP. Nope. They better not do it. Because if they do that, they should have done it. They should have did it for Dak Prescott. Because Dak Prescott's numbers last year are still better than Josh Allen's numbers this year. If they were to do that, it would be one of the biggest indictments on them. It would be one of the biggest indictments on the NFL. It would tell you they want to give it to Josh Allen. They want to give it to him because they obviously didn't want to give it to Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott's numbers looked better than Josh Allen's numbers this year. There's no argument. It's pure facts. It's a regular season award. Don't tell me he didn't beat Green Bay. Lamar Jackson got bounced out in the first round. 2-time MVP, bounced out in the first round. Dak Prescott won that award last year, Jared. Point blank. And there is no way with Josh Allen with lesser numbers and Joe Burrow surpassing both of them, there's no way you let Josh Allen get the coat. No, he can't do it. They better not do it. Well, I can't stop him, but it'll be an indictment. Wicked said, did you see the uncomfortable moment when Lamar and Derek refused to eat the football cake? I didn't, but I don't blame him. I wouldn't eat stuff like that. All those food colorings and stuff like that. And Derrick Henry, if anybody knows Derrick Henry is somebody who cares what he puts in his body. Derrick Henry ain't that mess. I wouldn't eat it either. If Patrick Mahomes three-peats, does he surpass Brady? No. It's not even a discussion. He can't even pass Brady. Man, to pass Brady, man, you're going to have to put up, 7? Go to 10? You got to do a little bit more. Man, when you talking about Tom Brady, hey, man, you're not passing Tom Brady on 3-4 good seasons. Nah, you're going to have to do a little bit more for that because Tom Brady basically ruled the NFL for what? A decade and a half? Tom Brady ruled the NFL a decade and a half. Nah, it ain't enough yet. What's going on, Danny Cowboy fans? Santiago said expects prices to go up next year once Netflix get that playoffs. Woo, man. They better not get the Super Bowl. It'll be over. Jerry said they didn't give Dak the MVP because his media narrative has been negative. Exactly. And you think about it, Jared, and at that point in time, everybody was on the Dak Prescott bandwagon. They were on the bandwagon. They could have gave it to him. Nobody would have had a problem with it until they lost to Green Bay, and everybody would have came back and went crazy. But isn't it strange how they changed the standard? It's a regular season award, end of story, no discussion. Dak Prescott actually won that award last year, got bounced out by the Bengals. Anybody know that the Lamar Jackson got bounced out in the first round too? And actually threw the interception that lost the game right there in the end zone? There's no other way to slice it. It's a regular season award. Wilson said what hurts the most is who they lose to. It's how close the losses are and the way they lose. Those games, example, the punt blunder. Imagine that in the first round of the playoffs. He says, yeah, I got you. Alex said Prescott was definitely robbed of the MVP. Yep. Only reason he didn't win because of the star on his helmet. I'm telling you, man. Anybody with half a brain knows this. The NFL, though, they painted themselves into a corner. Josh Allen ain't even close in the reality. Josh Allen is not even close to what Lamar Jackson is doing. Lamar Jackson is out there basically a video game cheat code. Him and Joe Shiesty. Man, Joe Shiesty a cheat code too. If the Cincinnati Bengals just had a winning record, it's Joe Shiesty all day long. It's Joe Shiesty all day long if he gets in the playoffs or at least he gets a winning record. Ricky says if Josh Allen wins the MVP over Lamar Jackson this year, it would be the exact same because Josh Allen's stats are worse than, that's what I said before. But see, now we also have another wrinkle in here. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow is now going to question the standard. Joe Burrow is about to question the standard. Do you have to have a winning record? Do you have to have a winning record? What if your defense is just that bad? Do you have to have a winning record to get the MVP? Because it is a regular season award. Does it really matter if you go to the playoffs? It's a regular season award. The tallies are done once the season ends. Joe Burrow is bringing this all into question. He's bringing it all into question. San Diego said, we hear the Cowboys, the most who they lose to, and in fashion, they lose those games. Can you imagine that punt blunder in the first round of the playoffs, the hell fury that'll come with it? Okay, you're going to have to, give me a little bit more so I can really get up to speed on what you're talking about. For sure. 39 and 4 interceptions. Get me up to speed. Mars says, Joe Burrow not winning anything. Joe Burrow, if he gets to 9 wins, watch what I tell you. If Joe Burrow gets the 9 wins, you watch what I tell you. Because Joe Burrow is killing it, man. Joe Burrow was killing it. Saquon Barkley is only 130 yards away from the NFL record. Wilson Santiago. Saquon Barkley is going to get that record. Saquon Barkley is going to get that record. I guarantee you. He gets that record. Troy says, same reason Dallas has been percent by the rest in different seasons under Romo. Dollars wants the wealth spread. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mars, I don't understand what you're saying when I sound crazy, because Joe Burrow has actually been tearing the league up, period. Burrow is tearing the league up. His defense is what's letting him down. Burrow is tearing this league up. He is. I don't even know what part you're talking about crazy. I'm not even concerned with it. Joe Burrow, okay, he said Joe Burrow got smoked twice against Lamar. Yeah, he did, but it's still an entire season award. And I disagree with you. He did not get smoked. Joe Burrow did not get smoked. In the first game, Joe Burrow launched an insane comeback. Tell me he didn't. Second game, watch that game. They flat out cheated the Cincinnati Bengals out of that game. They cheated them out of that game down the stretch. It was nothing but penalties on that last drive, and they didn't even call them. Face mask on there. Roughing the passer, didn't call it. Face mask, didn't call it. Pass interference, didn't call it. The Cincinnati Bengals got cheated out of that second game against the Baltimore Ravens. Watch the game with my own eyes. Watch it with my own eyes. No. Joe Burrow, and when you look at how close, and I'm actually like laughing at what you just said. Hold on a second. What in the world? You're talking about I sound crazy. What in the world are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let me look back at this. So hold on a second. So let me go back and put your comment up here. Do you not understand the definition of smoked? Do you not know what smoke means? If you smoke somebody, you literally run off and leave them in the dust. Do you know the definition of smoked, first of all? Because 34-35 is not smoked. I watched the game. They cheated the Bengals out of that game. The Bengals should have won that game. Point blank. Came back at the end, made it 34-35, and then they cheated them on that drive, and they still overcame it, and then cheated them on the 2-point conversion. Pass interference. Point blank. Even the commentator said it. Point blank interference. You don't know the definition of smoke, because 34-35 and it coming down to the last drive in the last few seconds of the game in a 2-point conversion, that is not smoked. That is not smoked. Joe Burrow balled out in that Baltimore. Joe Burrow balled out in that game. So did Lamar Jackson. Both of them did. They both balled out. I don't know what you're talking about. You're obviously not watching these games. So again, do you know the definition of smoked? Because in the first game, it was 41-38, and it went into overtime. Do you know the definition of smoked? Get your dictionary. Because smoked doesn't mean where I come from, games going into overtime and games coming down to the last play of the drive, and the Bengals could have took that game into overtime and didn't want to do it. Nope, they didn't want to do it. The Bengals went for the win. They didn't want to do it. You don't know the definition of smoked. And so again, when you look at this thing with what's going on, and I've already mentioned it about the NFL. I'm just reading your comments now. But Andre, no, Mahomes won't win the MVP. He's not even in the running. Nobody's even talking about him, because everyone knows that the reality is Patrick Mahomes is having a very down year for his standards. See, this is the same thing that was happening to Dak Prescott this year. People don't realize that Dak Prescott actually wasn't having a bad year. He was having a bad year when you look at the standard he set with the MVP. That's when you set those kinds of records, when you set that bar, when you go below that bar, then you're playing below your standard. He wasn't playing below standard. He's playing below his standard. Patrick Mahomes this year, and don't get me wrong, the thing that I've liked about Patrick Mahomes this year, even though he's not having a Patrick Mahomes year, but when it is counted, Patrick Mahomes has made some very good drives when it's counted. Teams have been able to stop him at certain points and times, and then he'll rise to the occasion. And then in some of these things, there's been some weird, fluky things happening, like some terrible calls. I can recall 2 terrible calls. Watched the game myself. I mean, they won. They won on stuff like blocked field goals. I'm just telling you, Kansas City Chiefs. Y'all remember what I told you? How you win them is how you lose them. And I like what they did today. I like what the Kansas City Chiefs did today. When you go into games, you go into games and you beat teams. Don't let teams take you down to, I'm talking, it's okay when you're doing this, once every 3-4 games, maybe once every 5th game. But if every game you're playing, you're winning by some fluky play, last drive, something like that, well, how you win them is how you're going to lose them. Because if you win them on those last-minute plays, you're going to lose some of those last-minute plays today. And so today, I really liked what the Kansas City Chiefs came out and did. They came out and flexed. Man, they came out and flexed on Pittsburgh. They flexed on Pittsburgh hard, man. 29-10. They flexed on them hard. Straight up flexed on them hard. And I think, Wicked, you're going to have to, you've already admitted it. Man, I'm telling you. Pittsburgh, their defense, I'm not even going to blame the defense. Your offense has got to help you out some. And Russell Wilson today, 22 for 37, 205, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns. Russell today just didn't have it. The run game, and it looks like they ran pretty good for the most part, but the problem is they couldn't put touchdowns up. And I don't know, you tell me what you think. You look at Pittsburgh more than I do, Wicked. But I just think they need something a little bit more at wide receiver. And I'm also looking at them from the running back position because it's already talk about Najee Harris not being with Pittsburgh next year. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, they may need to go in this draft and get them a little bit more explosive running back. I just don't think Harris, I think he's a grinded out back. I think he could be your number 2 in the 1-2 punch. He's not explosive enough. Wilson, the most recent Cowboys Dak Prescott, he's runner up. And his stats were better than Lamar Jackson's. And so they could, but what Lamar Jackson is doing with 2 more games left? Lamar killing it. Jared Burr is going to come very close to 5,000. I'm telling you. Well over 40 TDs. Joe Burrow, if he eclipses 8 games, that's going to be the key. And I wouldn't be surprised if the MVP, if they didn't decide as it pertains to Joe Burrow, maybe he doesn't have to get to 9. Maybe they say, hey, 8 and 9. And you look at what I pointed out with those Pittsburgh Steelers games. When you look at the margins, the Cincinnati Bengals have actually lost games by. When you look at the games against, for example, the Baltimore Ravens, when you look at that, they're not getting just blown out by teams every single week. There are some blips on here where they got beat in some games bad, but then there's some other games when you're talking about some of these good teams. I mean, the Ravens, the Steelers, 44-38. I mean, they were putting up points this season. But you look at the Chiefs game, it was 25-26. I mean, you look at what they've done and what you could say about them, which I don't know how they're thinking about this, but everyone knows that the Cincinnati Bengals defense is trash. That defense is trash, and it's one of the biggest reasons why they've been losing these games. Now, Joe Shiesty is going into 2 games here at the end that I think he's going to have a little bit of a tough time in scoring a lot of points. I just don't know if he's going to be able to score a lot of points on the Broncos. It is going to be in Cincinnati, so maybe they do something with that one next Saturday. What is that? That's this Saturday night, so we'll see what he does against them at home. Then when you look at the Bengals and Steelers game, I just don't know what you're going to get out of that. The Bengals defense is nowhere near as good as what we saw. They're definitely nowhere near as good as the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Pittsburgh Steelers may look a lot different in that game. But, yeah, Jared, you're right. Joe Shiesty is going to get very, very close to 5,000 yards. Let me skip down a little bit. Hey, G, Revelation, what's going on? He says, hey, G, not only do you own the know, but you also own the wisdom of the know. Keep going, my brother. Appreciate your revelation. And let me read this super chat real quick. Alex, appreciate the super chat, $4.99. Appreciate you. Best Cowboy channels on YouTube. Man, appreciate you. Always keeping it real. No BS. Appreciate you, my brother. Yes, sir. We're going to try to do it the best way we can. But I'm telling you, man, this game today was insane to me. I'm telling you, man, I'm a Cowboys fan, so, I have no dog in the fight. But I liked what Kansas City did today. And, hey, Wicked, I know you like the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. But I like what Kansas City did today because Pittsburgh, they're not a bad team. They're a good team. They're a good team. I think a couple of games ago, we thought they were better than good. They're a good team. But the Chiefs, who have been winning games by the skin of their chinny chin every week, there's always been something questionable. And there was one questionable call in this game where I think there was a catch, and I was kind of like, that was not a catch. And I don't think the NFL should let teams run to the line of scrimmage and run a play when there is a questionable catch. The replay in New York ought to say, nope, stop the game. It won't take but 5 seconds to see if that's a catch. People shouldn't have to waste challenges and try to play strategic, as in, either call a timeout. No, the NFL should step in on those plays. But other than that, I don't really think that had a big bearing on the game. No, Kansas City Chiefs flexed today, man. They flexed. Patrick Mahomes, it's amazing to me. I'm tired of this stuff. Every time they talk about Patrick Mahomes injured, only for Patrick Mahomes to come out here and just be balling out of control and running on the field. Man, this dude today, he didn't run, of course, as much as he normally does, but he was 29 for 38, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, 76% completion percentage, 127.1 rating, 8.4 yards attempt. Man, Patrick Mahomes flexed today. Him and their defense. The defense flexed today. They literally flexed today. They played a really really good game. They played a really, really good game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, man, they literally rendered the Pittsburgh Steelers helpless. There was literally nothing they could do. And Russell Wilson, man, I'm telling you, Wicked, you tell me what you think, but I really do believe that Mike Tomlin is going to have to figure out points and places in the game where he lets Justin Fields play. I mean, he did it against Cleveland. I think he should continue to work that in, especially these last 2 games, so it can be a part of the playoffs. Let it be a part of your playoffs. Let him be a regular part. Let him be a regular part of the offense. Just like you bring in a change of pace running back. Let him be a change of pace. Let him be like what's the guy's name? Taysom Hill, whatever, for the New Orleans Saints. Let him do that. I mean, Russell Wilson's on a 1-year contract. I mean, this ain't about hurting Russell Wilson's feelings. I mean, end of the day, who cares? This is about winning, and I'm sure Russell will not care. They need to do whatever they can do to win games. And I just think Justin Fields, with his speed from the quarterback position, he could be a change of pace for your team against certain teams. Because I'm telling you, man, Kansas City, that defense flexed, and they flexed hard today. And they basically held the Pittsburgh Steelers to 10 points. And, man, I'm telling you, for these two games to be on Netflix, man, they were very boring. I mean, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs fan and you're the Baltimore Ravens fan, you probably love these games today. But if you're just someone who doesn't, you like the Dallas Cowboys or you like some other team, you were looking at these games today and you were just kind of like, man, this is like boring today. So, but I'm telling you, man, I really liked today what the Kansas City Chiefs did, man. I mean, they absolutely flexed. I wanted to look at some of these team stats. It's not up on the NFL thing right now, but boy, they absolutely flexed. And tell me this isn't crazy. Pittsburgh Steelers, they run for 202 yards and pass for 162, and they only score 10 points? That's crazy. When you typically run like this on a team, you're pretty much winning that game. You're winning that game. But what did them in, this is the problem. 5 sacks allowed. 1 fumble lost, 1 interception thrown. And someone today said something that I thought was very interesting. They said that whenever you play the Kansas City Chiefs, in order to beat them, you must be +2 in the turnover battle. Meaning that if you must get 2 turnovers on them and 0 turnovers for yourself. Or if you get 2 turnovers, you better turn them over 4 times. Because that's how you get an advantage on them. Because if they turn you over, they're typically going to turn your turnovers into touchdowns. And so they flexed today, man. They flexed on offense and they flexed on defense. And even though they gave up 202 yards of rushing, they bent, but they didn't break. They'll take that. They bent, but they didn't break. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they were showing this it seemed like they kind of had this fixed. But it reared its ugly head again. They can't get in the end zone. They can't get in the end zone. This was a problem for them earlier. Now it reared its head again, and it's a bad time for that to rear its head, especially as you come up against the playoffs. Moulton, Derrick Henry scored for both. You say he scored for both teams today. Yeah, we're gonna look at that in just a moment. Troy Dudley says Steelers only paying Wilson. Yep. $1 million this year. They might have a little left over, and he probably won't be the quarterback next year. And I'm not even sure Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback next year. Pittsburgh is probably going to go in the draft again, and they're going to probably get him a quarterback. And this is why I say, a lot of people do not understand. You can tell me anything you want to. Dak Prescott had options. And I'm telling you, if Dak Prescott would have hit the open market, this is one of the teams, because people were already talking about it, this is one of the teams that would have wanted Dak Prescott because he's better than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields for sure. Gabe said the Baltimore Ravens, let me read this. The Baltimore Ravens can get the number 2 seed if Buffalo loses one of its division games. Either way, Bills ain't getting to Chiefs. Ravens killed them head-to-head season and will take them out of the playoffs. Man, let me tell you something. Gabe, people keep talking about Dak Prescott. Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs. He's got as many MVPs as he has playoff wins. Let that sink in. He's got as many MVPs as he has playoff wins. And when you look at his losses, Dak's the Green Bay loss looked bad last year on Dak. One of the San Francisco losses in particular looked bad on Dak. Well, Lamar Jackson has had at least 3 of those playoff games where it looked extremely bad on him, because in 2 of them I can remember, he is the reason why they lost, as in like the last year, he threw the walk-off interception that ended the game. I think he's had a couple of them like that. And so you can't be in the MVP race again and you don't win a playoff game? Man, this put up a shut-up year for him. Lamar Jackson is too doggone good. And now they got him Derrick Henry? Man, I'm telling y'all something. If the Baltimore Ravens do not win a playoff, I'm talking just one, he better at least get to the divisional round. Because if he doesn't, oh my gosh, man. What else will you be able to say? What else will you be able to say? Wicked says Justin Fields can develop into an elite quarterback. People say Lamar Jackson couldn't throw. Now he's elite. They say he isn't Lamar Jackson. I use that example, say Fields can also develop if given time. Yeah, he's the man. Hey, Wicked. Nobody's Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson. I've said it before when I talked about my top 4 running quarterbacks in the league. The best running quarterback in the league is Lamar Jackson. And the smartest running quarterback in the league is Patrick Mahomes. The most ferocious, as I've said before, the most ferocious is Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen, man, he's a load coming down, man. I'm telling you. You know, cornerbacks don't want to see him coming down. He knocked guys over. And Jalen Hurts is another one of the, whether people accept it or not, Jalen Hurts is another one of these very good runners in the NFL. I could see Justin Fields. Justin Fields already has the running part down. He's pretty fast. He's just got to get a little bit more keen to going downfield. And that's what they were missing when he was quarterbacking. But I think now that he's been watching Russell Wilson, I mean, can he do any worse than Russell doing right now? I mean, I probably would think about letting, and I've already said it, I think they should already be working him in, because I just don't think with Russell Wilson, you can win. You can win in these playoffs. I mean, when you look at what's going on with Kansas City and now the Baltimore Ravens, man, Russell ain't gonna be enough by himself. He's not gonna be enough by himself. Daniel Lynn, what's going on? He said, I just saw the injury report for the Cowboys this week, and it looks like that we're going to get Wanye Thomas back for the next 2 games. That helps the safety room with Wilson and Hooker. Man, I'm going to tell you what it does. But, hey, man, them boys already been balling. Them boys already been balling, man. Yeah, you said you can't wait to play Philly. Yeah, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Steelers probably going to lose next week, too. Woo, man. It's going to be in Cincy. It's going to be in Cincy, so it's going to be tough. Daniel said, G, bringing out straight facts tonight. Absolutely loving it. Appreciate it, man. Gabe said, even if the Bengals went out, they need a lot of help to get in the playoffs. Yep. But if we're talking about MVP, it's a regular season award. You can justify giving Joe Burrow that MVP award on a 9-8 record. And I'm questioning would they give it to him on an 8-9 record. I'm really questioning would they give it to him on an 8-9 record. But, yeah, as far as the playoffs go, even if they go, I think Joe Burrow will give it a go, but his defense is not good enough to stop any of these AFC teams. It's just not good enough. Nobody in the NFC wants to face Burrow and Chase. Yeah, and I agree with you. Problem is, but the Cincinnati Bengals defense don't want to face anybody in the AFC. They don't want to face anybody in the NFC. He says it's a shame. Real MVP and Triple Crown wide receiver have to sit at home and watch like the rest of us. It's just facts, man. It is what it is. The defense just not good enough. The defense just not good enough. Well, there's no offense that might not want to see him, but their defense don't want to see any of those other teams. So it's a bad deal, man. It really is. Steelers got smoked. Yeah, that's the definition of smoke. They got smoked by the Chiefs for sure. They got smoked by the Chiefs for sure, man. He says, feel bad for your Steelers. You need a bye week. Yeah, it's too late, man. It's too late. No more time for no more time for bye weeks. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play on Sunday against the Dallas, could that be an L for the Eagles? We know the Cowboys defense has been playing with. Man, let me tell you something. The crazy thing to me is everybody been talking about this on X. They've been talking about Jalen Hurts not playing. And the Philadelphia Eagles put out a crazy injury report to me. It is an estimated injury report, as in if they would have practiced today. Well, you didn't practice. But they're saying if they would have practiced. Jalen Hurts wouldn't have practiced. And so everyone is like excited because they're like the Cowboys may get another win. The Cowboys may get another win because Jalen Hurts is hurt. And I'm just kind of like, is that really how we want to win? I mean, this is why I'm questioning this whole run with the Cowboys. I'm going to get to that after I get past the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'm really questioning, is this a real winning mentality? That we're saying, Mike McCarthy said it's about winning. So you say it's about winning, but you don't say it's about winning when you're winning. When you're winning 12 games, when you're approaching playoff games, I'm sorry, the Cowboys with backups are approaching these last few games in a manner that they didn't even approach the playoff games with 12 wins and their starters. This is baffling to me. But I understand it also. You remember what I told you? They're playing with house money. They're playing for absolutely nothing. And now they're playing the quote-unquote spoiler. You play different when you're playing the spoiler versus when you're playing for something. And the question is not how do you play when you're playing spoiler. The question is, how do you play when all the chips on the table? How do you play then? What's your mentality then? How do you play when you got everything to lose? How do you play then? Because from what I've seen with the Cowboys, and this is a problem that I have, when all the chips are on the table, that mentality is not there. But all of a sudden now we're playing with our backups. I want you to think about how crazy this is. With all of our starters, we walk into a Green Bay game thinking, well, our stuff don't stink. We're the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to beat the Green Bay Packers no matter what. They're a wild card, lowest seed, one of the lowest seeds ever in the wild card race. They limped in, which they actually didn't. They powered their way in. We limped in. Oh, it's the wild card. It's Green Bay. Oh, we're going to beat Green Bay and go. I mean, it seemed like that's how they approached it because no one on that team had killer instinct that day. I mean, you could see it in their demeanor. None of them had killer instinct. The moment they lined up on the ball, none of them had it. And now there's nothing to play for? I want y'all to think about this. Are we really playing for Mike McCarthy's job? He won 12 games 3 seasons in a row. You didn't bring back any of the players. You left everybody on one-year deals. You let go of all that veteran leadership. And so you're basically telling Mike McCarthy, so now your job depends on what you do with less. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. If you haven't already seen enough from Mike McCarthy to determine whether or not you're going to hire him back or not, you'll never see enough. You'll never see enough because there's no way he can get into the playoffs. So what are we talking about now? So does he have to win the last 2 games or not? Because the way people have been talking about these little winning 4 of the last 5. I mean, is that not enough? They keep bragging about the fact that the team hasn't quit, which I'm laughing at the fact they keep saying that when a lot of these players don't have contracts going into next year. And we're saying these players are just playing for Mike McCarthy. Let's deal with context. They better be playing like it's the last. I mean, they better be playing and putting some good stuff on tape. Because the Cowboys may not be the team they're playing for next year. So why wouldn't they be playing with a sense of urgency? I mean, we're making this all about Mike. You know, it's crazy. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're talking about playoffs. Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens. We're talking about playoffs. With the Dallas Cowboys, we're talking about Mike McCarthy. Make it make sense. They're playing for playoffs. We're playing for Mike McCarthy. Make it make sense. It makes no sense in any world that you live in. It makes no sense. It's nonsense. Lois Vaughn said Eagles smoked y'all too. Yep. Could have scored again to make it a 20-point game, but chose, yep, they did smoke us. And the question becomes, what will they do when they play us again and get us down in Philly? And this is why I'm tripping. Everybody's kind of like Jalen Hurts is not playing, and everybody's getting kind of giddy about that. And I'm just a little bit different. I mean, if you him, well, I don't want to beat you with your worst players on the team or your backups on the team. I mean, the reality is, I can't help it. I mean, I got to play who's in front of me. But I'm telling you, C.J. Stroud this year when they played the Dallas Cowboys, how much you bet he would have rather played Dak Prescott than Cooper Rush? How much you bet Joe Burrow would have rather played Dak Prescott than Cooper Rush? Because that's how dogs think. And when I listen to Dallas Cowboy fans getting happy about, woo, Jalen Hurts is not going to be playing. Surely we can beat Kenny Pickett. What kind of mentality is that? You want players to be out so you have a better chance to win? No, I want to knock players out. I'm built different. No, I want you playing when you play me because I want to be the one to knock you out. I'm not trying to go in. I mean, it's nothing against Cooper Rush. It's not a Cooper Rush conversation. But I don't want to play the backup quarterback. I want to play the starting quarterback. So when I beat you in the ground, you don't get to say, well, we were playing with our backup quarterback. No, I want to beat you in the ground with your starting quarterback. And people talk about, ooh, he afraid of Rush. Stop it. Come on, man. Is it crazy talk when people start talking like this? No, I want to beat you with your best players. You want to be the best? You have to beat the best. Not worried, man. Don't get me wrong. Now, if you're going to put some scrubs in front of me, I'm going to come up with an excuse to beat them. I mean, I'm gonna psych myself out. And like I told you before, I used to tell my sons playing high school football, I mean, I don't care if they tell you this team is sorry. You go look at tape on them, and you find reasons. You find, oh, this dude right here, he think he better than me. Oh, this dude right here, he think he gonna catch on me. Or I saw what this dude caught on me. Or you go tell your team, hey, man, don't sleep on this team. They got this dude, he can do this, and this. You go look at that tape, you analyze. Man, you come out and beat the sorriest team in the world like they're the best team in the world. You just beat them in the ground. And it's the same thing when you play any other team. I don't want to play the backups. No, I want to play the best quarterback on your team. I do. And I'm laughing. Our mentality is, yeah, man, we hoping that Jalen Hurts out. I don't. I hope Jalen Hurts is playing. Why not? This is how you measure yourself. You can't measure yourself against Kenny Pickett. But you can measure yourself against Jalen Hurts. You can definitely measure yourself against Jalen Hurts, and you should want that revenge. Wicked said everyone can use a bye week. There's a fine line between drinking wine and crushing grapes. We blinked these past few weeks and we can't blink. Tomlin, yes, sir. And I'm going to tell you what. I tell my wife this every year. The NFL is a battle of attrition. It's a battle of attrition. Who can be the healthiest down the stretch? Who can be the healthiest? I was saying this about the Cowboys early because I was saying the injuries were not bothering me because I felt like that if this team got injured early, went through the adversity, and then got healthy later, it would make them stronger in the end. You see what's happening? The only thing that happened is we got an injury that we really couldn't overcome. And it's hard to overcome, and Cooper Rush has done a fine job. But it's not realistic to think you're going to go on a run with a backup quarterback. I don't care how good your team plays. I've been saying this before. I don't care how good your team plays. I don't care if you run well around him. I don't care if you play defense well around him. I don't care if your special teams are special around him. There is going to come a point against a certain team, and everything's going to wash out. They're going to stop your run. You're going to stop their run. They're going to catch on you. You're going to catch on them. You're not going to get a turnover. They're not going to get a turnover. Or maybe y'all both get 2 turnovers. It's going to all equal out, and it's going to come down to the quarterback play. It's going to come down to the quarterback play. And we've not only seen it once, we've seen it twice. Whenever you boil it down to the quarterback play, us with Cooper Rush against another team with their quarterback, we lose. And we almost, if had it not been for 2 insane defensive plays, it would have came down to quarterback play again. And I would have put my money on Baker Mayfield. And so when you get down to these games and you start getting into the playoffs, it is hard to win with a backup quarterback. It is. It is, because you lose games like the Cincinnati game. You lose games. We're all up in our feelings right now, but wait, let's see what happens against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see what happens against the Commanders. I have a feeling that Dan Quinn is probably going to be trying to be coach of the year. And Dan Quinn, someone mentioned over here the other day, I didn't even think about it, but it's true. Dan Quinn is in the race for the coach of the year. He is literally in the race for the coach of the year. There's a couple other coaches in there. Dan Campbell. The coach for the Minnesota Vikings. Even Nick Sirianni. He's in there. But Dan Quinn, new ownership, first-year coach, rookie quarterback, building a team, and he's coming out looking like this. And if he messes around and beats the Falcons, messes around and beat the Cowboys, and you're 12-5 in your first season as a coach, boy, there's a lot of questions. Jerry Jones, how you let this man get away? How you let this man get away? A lot of questions there, man. But Dan Quinn is in that running. He is in that running. And so Gabe says the Bengals should beat the Ravens twice, if not for fumble snap and missed calls. Yeah, that missed call. That last game in particular was crazy. They cheated the Bengals out of that game. And I remember talking about it. I'm sorry. The NFL's got to do something about that type of stuff. If they played a third time, they would win in the playoffs, in my opinion. Only team in the NFC that can beat them, including the Chiefs. Yeah, they really gave the Baltimore Ravens all they could handle. And in particular, in that last game, I was shocked at how the Bengals were able to stop Derrick Henry. I was literally shocked in their last meetings. Bronco fan for life. Steelers never go away from the run, even though it's not working. But you know what's crazy, Broncos for life? Welcome to the show. But you know what's crazy? They had 202 yards. Man, if someone tells you that a team ran for 202 yards on you, somebody says, hey, man, they got beat. Because that means you controlled the line of scrimmage, you won the time of possession, and so it should actually be a pretty low-scoring game. You're thinking that game is going to be, what, 21-17-ish? You wouldn't be surprised if it's 17-14, 20-17, because we know the kind of team Pittsburgh is. Pittsburgh is the type of team, they don't mind how they win. They'll take you out into the deep. They'll drown you. They'll win 17-13. They don't care about winning ugly. But what's happened to them lately is that teams have been taking them out into the deep. And those teams have been putting up touchdowns, and they've been challenging Pittsburgh that if we're going to put up touchdowns, now you got to put up touchdowns. And where they have failed, they haven't been able to match them on touchdowns. And so, hey, Broncos for life, it's crazy when you run for 202 yards and you don't win. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Freddie, what's going on? Freddie said Pickens got flagged at the worst times. Hurts Pittsburgh. Yeah, he's a great wide receiver. I think they need someone else to go with him for sure. Pickens was not giving full effort on some plays. Yeah, at least that's what it looked like. I know Pickens is coming off an injury, so so that probably played a role. The play call is also lacking. You know, Pickens is I think Pickens can be a great wide receiver. He's young and he's immature. He wears his feelings on his shoulders. And he's the type of player that if he sees the game is not going right, it'll start showing in his actions. It'll start showing in his actions. He'll get real chippy. He'll start doing little things. I mean, it's like he's kind of, like I said, he's got some maturing to do. He really does, man. He's got some maturing to do. He does. He's got to mature. Jared says, gee, we got to stop the narrative that Dak Prescott only beat the bad teams last year. Yep, I brought that up yesterday. Nope, he hasn't only beat bad teams. He beat good teams too. Problem is they become bad teams after we beat them. That's the problem. They're bad teams after we beat them, they say. Wicked said Fields almost had 400 yards versus the Colts. Yeah, it was a good game for him. The defense couldn't stop Flacco. Fields threw some great passes in that game. Simply when y'all beat us, the defense couldn't stop Dak from scoring. Yeah, Fields is another one. Fields needs to get into a system to where they're going to let him be the man and not turn away from him. Let him learn that system, build a system around him, put players around him. I still say the Chicago Bears made they made a mistake. The way people wanted Caleb Williams, man, I'd have traded 3 first-round draft picks in a heartbeat. Man, who won Caleb Williams? 3 first rounds. 3 first rounds. They gave, what, 2 first rounds and a third? I thought it was 3 first rounds. They said it was 2 first rounds and a third for Trey Lance. And I guess you could kind of say it was the third one, because you have to get that person's first. So it was 2 and a third for Trey Lance. Well, what do you think the pick for Caleb Williams? They talking about this dude was the next Patrick Mahomes. Caleb Williams, though, I will say this. I've seen some flashes of Caleb Williams, and I think Caleb Williams is not a bad quarterback. I just think Caleb Williams, the expectations are way too high. There are 3 teams that you could never pay me to go to as a quarterback. I would never go to the Cleveland Browns. I would never go to the Chicago Bears. One other team, it'll come to my mind in a moment, but you couldn't get me to go to those teams. They're quarterback killers. They're quarterback killers. I mean, you couldn't get me to go to the New York Jets. I mean, they're quarterback killers. And so Caleb Williams, he went to a bad team. And he's going to suffer the consequences of going to a bad team. It's not his fault. But when you're the number 1 pick, you go to a bad team. And they're typically rebuilding. Lamar Jackson was upset because he was number 31 pick in the first round of the draft? He was 31, 32? It was the best thing that happened to him. Because he got to go to a team that was actually winning and not rebuilding. That's a pride thing. And I know it's a money thing. Don't worry, you'll get your money later on. Because a lot of times you get those quarterbacks, they be number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You notice how many of those from Dak Prescott's draft class are still balling? Dak and Jared Goff. I mean, I don't know any of the other notable ones, but those are the two that stand out to me. And Dak wasn't a first rounder. You see more often than not these first round top 5, top 10 quarterbacks. They're out so quick because a team will bring them in, put expectations on them, eat them up in 3 seasons, done with them. Done with them. Keep playing, they'll be done with him in 5. Kyler Murray might be on his last contract. And I'm not saying his last contract per se, but he's probably on his last big contract. There will not be another team that will give Kyler Murray a big contract. You saw what they did to Baker Mayfield. I mean, you could go down the line on these first round, these early top 10, number 1 overall. You can go down the line on those guys. And so many of them are out. There was someone today. I'm going to do a new show. I'm going to create a new show on the channel, and I'm going to call it the comment section. It's going to just be based on the comments that I get on my videos I post every week. Because, man, there be some people, man, they be coming with some heat, boy. They be coming with some heat. They be saying some crazy stuff. But one guy was saying that he thinks one of the reasons why the Cowboys haven't won is because they haven't had a first-round draft pick quarterback since Troy Aikman. I disagree. First-round quarterback don't guarantee you're winning. Doesn't guarantee you're winning. How many of these first-rounders do we look at right now? They're backups. I mean, we could just go on and on and on. I mean, the Jameis Winstons. Sam Darnold, I mean, he's getting another chance now. He's been bouncing around the league. We got one on our team, Trey Lance. I mean, how many of these first rounders that come into this league, Carson Wentz, man, you just go down the line. These first rounders, they come into the league, they're done in 5 years. They're done. No, what helped Troy Aikman? What helped Troy Aikman? Jimmy Johnson and the Herschel Walker trade and all the players they put around him. You're not going to show me a multiple Super Bowl winning quarterback that don't have great players around him. You're just not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're not going to show me that quarterback. They don't exist. That quarterback does not exist. The mediocre quarterbacks that win Super Bowls, the average quarterbacks that win Super Bowls, guess what they have around them? Players. Guess what else they have around them? Great coaches. Great coaches. This is one of the problems I have about us in the Dallas Cowboys. Name me the great coach that Dak Prescott has had. Name me the great coach he's had. Not the good one, the great one. Name him. Willie T, what's going on? Eagles put on a fake injury report. It means nothing. Willie T, I said the same thing. Man, Jalen Hurts is an absolute dog. Man, they're going to have to do everything they can do to stop that dude from playing. Man, you don't stop dogs from playing. Man, my son, I'm glad he's not playing football no more now. And, he's so big now. Everybody always asks him, do he play football? This dude is humongous. Still lift weights every day. But he was one of them dudes, man, he was a dog. He played with a concussion. You can get past them concussion protocols, especially on them high school levels. I mean, they'll be asking you dumb stuff like, hey, man, what city you in? What day of the week is it? Man, you answer 2 questions. Man, get back in there. It's not a good practice, but I'm going to tell you, and I got on to him about it, but I'm just telling you how dogs are. Man, you got to keep Man, you got to keep a dog on the chain, man. Dogs don't want to sit out games. They don't. Good point about Lamar Jackson, but I'll take him and Derrick Henry over Josh Allen in the playoffs. Man, let me tell you something. What you got to see from them is consistency, because they've also laid some eggs this year. But if they get rolling down the stretch, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are going to be hard to stop. Now, I do think there is someone that can stop him, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. But, boy, they get that run game running, man, they might roll right through them too. Lamar got 2 FC championships. Josh has never got past the divisional round, and I don't see it this year. Hey, man, I'm telling you. And you know what, Gabe? I think they've given Josh some pieces. But when I look at Baltimore and when I look at Kansas City, I just don't know if Buffalo has enough. I just don't know if they have enough. I just don't know if they have enough to deal with. Willie T, beating the Eagles, even if Hurts doesn't play, don't matter. The Bengals didn't care that Dak didn't play. They didn't. But, I'm making a point, that, Willie T, and I'm sure you can identify with what I'm saying. Dogs don't want to play backups. No, dogs want to play the best. They don't want to play the backup quarterback. No, I want to play the starting quarterback. They want those challenges. They do. Troy Dudley said Ferguson one of the few that showed up versus Green Bay. Yeah, Ferguson. Yeah. And it's like they were all out there stunned. We need that Cowboys win to clinch an FC. Okay, wait a minute. You saying the Eagles need that Cowboys win. Okay, I'm thinking you saying we need that Cowboys. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, y'all need that Cowboys win if you. Okay, you're an Eagles fan. Okay, y'all need to win to clinch that NFC East. Yeah, it's a big game. And I'm going to tell you something, Lord Vaughn. Let me tell you something. All of us, and I know all of us understand this. This is why I keep saying this. You can be playing for your mama, but when you come up against a team that's better than you, and they're hungrier or hungry as you, you're getting beat. You're getting beat. You can only ride adrenaline so long. You can only ride a wave so long. You meet certain teams, and you come. Some teams, see, this is the problem with the Buccaneers. And we're not going to knock the Buccaneers as not being a good team. The Buccaneers were on a roll. But they were a team. The Cowboys came in. Well, they came into Dallas, and what the Cowboys did that was so uncharacteristic of what they do normally, they were able to get up 10-0, and they set the tempo of the game. They dictated for at least 2 quarters to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is what we're going to do, and this is what you're going to have to do to stop us. And when they got on top of them in the first half, it changed the way the Buccaneers wanted to beat the Cowboys. It changed. It took away some of the run opportunities. It took away a whole lot of their game plan. They had to change it. And then Shepard, it didn't help that they were dropping some of the passes that Baker Mayfield was throwing. And then when Shepard does get on track, what does he do? Hamstring pull. Then when number 15, I forgot his name, if you look at the replay, man, the play that Jordan Lewis made is crazy because number 15 actually catches the ball. But as he's coming down, Jordan Lewis turns into his chest and grabs the ball as they hit the ground and turn over, and he's got the ball. It's crazy. It's crazy. Secondary play was off the chain. Al Harris did a great job with the secondary, and Mike Zimmer did a real good job with the defense. And so you think about some of those types of plays that happened for the Cowboys, but they made the Buccaneers change how they did things. And so it's one thing when you're a good team and all the chips are on the table. The Buccaneers were basically, see, watch this. You got two. See, we're talking about the news the Cowboys got that day. We're not talking about the news the Buccaneers got that day. Yeah, the Cowboys got the news. The Washington Commanders had won, clinched the playoffs because I'd already said they were going to get it before they ever saw Dallas. They got it. The Cowboys are alleviated of continuing to play for the playoffs. And now all of the tightness goes away. Now we're mad. We're playing with house money. We're going to take it out on somebody that it's our fault that we didn't get to the playoffs because it wasn't no one else's fault but theirs. Can't blame the Commanders. They never controlled their own destiny. But now we're playing with a chip on our shoulder because now we're playing for pride. Let me tell you something. I don't care what anyone says. It's different when you're playing for pride and when you're playing for the playoffs. Buccaneers got news too. Guess what the news was they got? Atlanta Falcons won. The margin for error now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is different. The margin of error. We cannot lose to the Cowboys. We can't lose to the Cowboys. You play different when you're saying we can't lose. Now, if you're superior to a team, like the Kansas City Chiefs were today, if you're superior to a team, like the Baltimore Ravens were today, when you come in the game, you're not playing uptight. We're better than them. We don't care what the news is. We got news for everybody. We're better than the Steelers. The Ravens knew we're better than the Texans, and we're about to flex on them. There's a difference. Tampa Bay is not that good yet. See, a lot of people don't understand. See, they're missing weapons on offense. Some of their weapons went down this year. They're not as competent. And we saw where their pass defense, when we look back on it, the pass defense wasn't as good. So when you put those things into totality, and then you get the news that the Falcons won the game, now you're pressing. Now you're uptight because in your mind, I can't lose. And the reality is we're not really necessarily superior to the Cowboys. We may be better, but we're not superior. There's a difference in being better and being superior. When I'm better, there's still a good chance that team could win the game. Because if I'm better and I make some mistakes, I make some turnovers, I probably lose the game. But if I'm superior, it don't matter what you do. There was nothing the Houston Texans could do today. There was nothing the Pittsburgh Steelers could do. In both of those games, why they were so boring, is because both of those teams, the reality is this, whether we like it or not. Kansas City is better than Pittsburgh. And they flexed on them. Baltimore Ravens, way better than the Houston Texans. They flexed on them. They flexed on them. And that's what you do. And I'm telling you what we're about to watch this week with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not there yet on how it's going to turn out, but I can tell you this. The Eagles not coming in this game like we're afraid of the Cowboys. The Eagles are coming into this game saying we have to win this game to clinch the NFC. And the fact of the matter is, it's not conjecture. It's not innuendo. They're better than us. They are. They're better than us. To beat the Philadelphia Eagles, it is going to require not just the defensive effort you saw last week, because this is what I keep trying to help us with measuring. So if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what they put up, was it 24? If the Buccaneers, with hardly no run game and one wide receiver and an okay defense, if they put up 24, what do you think the Eagles going to do? in Philly. And if Jalen Hurts plays, what do you think they're going to do? We can't stop them in 3rd and 1 because nobody hardly can. Who can stop the Philadelphia Eagles in 3rd and 1 in the tush push? Who can do it? Who can stop them on the goal line with the tush push? Or nobody can hardly do it. And I know we can't do it. Who can stop them? Who can stop them? We stopped Saquon Barkley the first time, but we couldn't stop Jalen Hurts. We had no answer for Jalen Hurts running, and we had no answer for any wide receiver that was being covered by anyone other than Trayvon Diggs. Now, the advantage that the Eagles have that the Buccaneers didn't have the luxury of having, DaRon Bland, boy, he should have been the MVP of the game. Boy, what he did to Mike Evans, masterpiece. Masterpiece what he did to Mike Evans. But this time, it'll be A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It's different. Whoever that other cornerback is, he's going to have his work cut out for him. He'll have his work cut out for him. And so it's different when you're playing teams like that. And that's why I said the Buccaneers were not superior to the Cowboys. I think they were better than the Cowboys. But at the same time, they're playing uptight, as in, man, we can't lose. The Falcons lost. I mean, the Falcons won today. Imagine how the Buccaneers play, though. Watch this. Imagine how the Buccaneers play if the Falcons lose. Because now we're not playing tight. Because even if we lose, we don't lose our spot. Oh, man, now we can play loose. Now we can play loose. We can do this. We can do that. We can be a lot more loose. It's different when you're playing for something and you're playing for nothing. And I don't care who you are. If you come up against a team that's better than you, and they're hungry too, you're not going to be able to beat all these teams like you did some of these teams like the Bucs. You're not going to be able to do it. But I want to transition into the next game, the other game we saw today. Like I said, man, the Chiefs, they literally flexed on the Steelers today. I mean, they really did. Patrick Mahomes today looked like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he really looked like Patrick Mahomes, man. 3 touchdowns, 76% completion. That's crazy work right there. You look at their run game. And today, man, we got to give hats off to Patrick Mahomes. Today, it was Patrick Mahomes. Kareem Hunt was 9 for 20. Pacheco was 6 for 18. Mahomes 1 for 12. I mean, they had a couple of wide receiver runs for 10. Running back ran for 9. But for the most part today, it was all Patrick Mahomes, man. It was Patrick Mahomes in that defense. Patrick Mahomes did his thing. There's just no getting around it. Patrick Mahomes did his thing. And the defense, they did a number on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they held them to 10. I mean, it was very, very pedestrian out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was almost like they were playing with no sense of urgency. It was absolutely crazy. And I know Mike Tomlin was absolutely embarrassed. But the problem is, I think Mike Tomlin isn't dumb either. I think Mike Tomlin understands that he doesn't really have the quarterback play right now. When you start talking about, again, the Kansas Cities, when you start talking about the Baltimore Ravens, and for Pittsburgh, even if you're talking about the Buffalo Bills, as we get further down the stretch, they just don't have the quarterback play. And it's hard to beat a team when you don't have the quarterback play. You don't have it. Let me read a couple of comments as we transition over here. Rolando said, what's up, let's talk. What's up, South Texas? Same to you. Merry Christmas, my brother. Same GM for 29 years. Man, I've been talking about it for the last 2 days. Your team got to start with the owner, the GM, then the coach, then the quarterback and the players. The GM is the problem. He's one of the main problems. Willie T, he says, G, it's not about seeing anything from McCarthy. It's about can they real get a coach in the organization to be a better. Man, we going to talk about McCarthy in a moment, Willie T. Boy, I'm about to tell y'all something about this thing with Mike McCarthy that is absolutely crazy. that they're talking about Mike McCarthy. Daniel M said, gee, when the Chiefs clinched the 1 seed in the AFC, they had Andy Reid dressed up as Santa. You can't make this up. You can't. You can't. And you know what? As good as Patrick Mahomes is, boy, we gotta tell it like this, man. I'm gonna tell you, Kansas City is one of the best ran organizations in the NFL. Owner, GM, head coach, DC, position coaches. I mean, it is a well-ran organization, and there is no getting around it, man. It is a well-ran organization, and many teams, man, if you're a quarterback playing for Andy Reid, man, you have to be one of the blessed dudes out there. Lord said, I'm not buying that. We're not the same without Captain Hurts. I've seen it for years. Cowboys have been playing hungry. I'm worried as an Eagles fan. You said we're not the same without Captain Hurts, but that's my point. But you're gonna have Jalen Hurts. I'll be shocked if y'all don't have Jalen Hurts. I'll be shocked. And if y'all have Jalen Hurts, Lord Vaughn, you have nothing to worry about. The Philadelphia Eagles are better than the Dallas Cowboys. They are. Bro, let me tell you something. You can be hungry as you want to be. But if you come up against a dude who bigger than you, stronger than you, trained better than you, you're not beating him. I don't care how hungry you are. You're getting beat up. You're not taking his money. You're not taking his lunch. He going to beat you down. He going to break your arms, break your legs, and throw you in the trash. There comes a time, man, let me tell you, and I keep saying this. Sometimes we think we can will our way into certain things, and you can will your way into certain things depending upon who you willing yourself against. But there will always be somebody you're going to come up against, and they're like, I don't care what you're playing for. We playing for something too. And not only we're playing for something, we're better than you. We're better than you. I don't care if you're playing for your coach, your mama, your church. We're better than you. And we're going to beat you down. That's what happened today with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got exposed. We know what they are. They're just not good enough to beat a team like the Chiefs. The Chiefs are better than them. You know, and you think about it. They're both playing for something. Chiefs said, we want the number 1 seed. We want a week off. We're better than you. And we're going to flex and show you we're better than you. And the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts, they're better than us. They're better than us. Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley is a scary combination. They are. And we're going to talk about them in a little bit more in a moment. Just kind of perusing over the Baltimore Ravens game. I'm going to tell you what's absolutely scary about Lamar Jackson. I'm going to tell you what's absolutely scary about Lamar Jackson. I want you to look at his box score, his stats. Let me tell you something. This is a scary stat. I don't know if anyone else is looking at this like this. This is an absolute scary stat. And this is why Jalen Hurts is even a scary quarterback with Saquon Barkley. I want you to look at this number right here. Lamar Jackson only threw the ball 15 times. Let that sink in. He threw the ball 15 times. As much as I like Dak Prescott, I wish that we could get Dak Prescott 25 times, nothing more. And if we really cooking, Dak Prescott 20 times. That's it. 20 times. Average yards per game, 225, 250. I would like for the Dallas Cowboys in 2025 and 2026 You go do for Dak what you did for Troy Aikman. You want to know why Tony Romo and Dak Prescott are breaking a lot of Troy Aikman's records? He didn't throw the ball a lot. Now, when you needed him to, he could do it. If you needed him to do a couple of them 300-400 game, I mean, he might do one every blue moon. He might do that 300-yard game maybe twice a season. Troy Aikman didn't have to do that a lot. And if you saw him do it, in some of those instances, it was a losing situation. But when you looked at Troy Aikman, you're not looking at a lot of attempts. You're not looking at a lot of yards. Because the team around him is so good that he can just play within himself. Eat off the play action when he needs to. Throw you a couple of tubs. Have somewhere around a 66%, 70% completion percentage. Yards per attempt, 11.2. Because when you're throwing the ball when you're running like they're running, and I'm about to show you how they're running with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry came back alive today. This dude threw the ball 15 times, only completed 10 passes, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. This didn't hurt either. But Derrick Henry ran the ball 27 times, 147 yards. 1 touchdown. An explosive 20-yard run. Lamar Jackson, 4 attempts, 87 yards. Now, where you can make up for this with Dak Prescott. So you don't get 1 running back, but you get 2. I've already said, I believe the Dallas Cowboys in this draft right here, if they're going to let Rico Dowdle go somewhere else, which I think there's a good chance they're going to let Rico Dowdle go somewhere else, go in this draft and get you 2 running backs. You get you 1 either in the 1st or the 2nd, and then you get your other one in the 5th or the 6th. The Cowboys actually have 10 picks. I would be out there scouting like crazy because I'm going to find a way to get me either another 4th because there's no point in using all 10. You won't even keep all those 10. You need to be very calculated. Use some of those picks. And then you get back a 4th rounder or get you 2 4th rounders. You do whatever you need to do, but you get you 2 running backs. And you do exactly what the Detroit Lions. Or you go in free agency. I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple of backs free again. Nick Chubb will probably be free again. Wouldn't be surprised if an Aaron Jones is out there again. Wouldn't be surprised. There's going to probably be another really good running back if you decide not to bring back Rico Dowdle. But what the Cowboys need to be looking for in the draft is they're going to have to take some of this running away from Dak Prescott. The Cowboys need to get them a home run hitter. And that's what I'm not seeing with Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle, I'm proud of him. He's doing a really good job. He's a grinded out back. But he's not a home run hitter. And when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, the scary part is Lamar Jackson himself is a home run hitter, and so is Derrick Henry. Boy, they're going to be hard to stop. They are going to be hard to stop in these playoffs. They are. Now, people could go back and look at that Cincinnati Bengal tape in that second game because they did a number on Derrick Henry. But today, and I feel bad for the Houston Texans. I feel bad for C.J. Stroud because the reality is the Baltimore Ravens are superior to the Houston Texans. Houston Texans have went through a lot of injuries this year. They just had an injury, I think it was to one of the wide receivers. They are in disarray this year, and I'm just so laughing at how this league does. There are people actually calling for the job of their head coach. It's just ridiculous stuff. But C.J. Stroud today, man, he was out there running for his life. I say he was running for his life. He was running for his life and getting sacked too. 17 to 31, 185, 1 interception. 54% completion percentage. He looks like a quarterback that you can tell that he's down because he knows he doesn't have what he needs. He doesn't have what he needs. And, you know, the other problem is when you come in like C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud came in like Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott came in like gangbusters. But then you mess around and you lose a couple of those players. You lose a wide receiver. You lose like Dak did. You lose a Travis Frederick. The decline of Ezekiel Elliott. Some of those things start happening. And then you go from this great, the expectations when you're rookie of the year, you're rookie of the year, offensive player of the year. You have a 13-3 record your first season. And then you come crashing down. Welcome to the NFL. It's a battle of attrition. Whether it be injuries, whether it be contracts not being re-signed, whether it be trades, there are so many things that happen in some of those seasons. And then now, where you had all these weapons, and you're like, oh man, this is how it's always gonna be. Nope, no, it's not. Nope, it's not gonna be like this. And C.J. Stroud is going through some of those same growing pains now. And man, this score today was 31-2. And somebody already mentioned it. How long, y'all? How long? How long before they start giving C.J. Stroud the Dak Prescott treatment? How long? How long? C.J. Stroud has one more year like this, he's going to start getting the Dak Prescott treatment. Because even though the Houston Texans are the number 4 seed, for real, who's afraid of the Houston Texans? Who would come into the playoffs and be afraid of the Houston Texans? They're the number 4 seed. And so already there will be no one. There'll be no one coming into these playoffs afraid of the Houston Texans because they just don't have what they need. They just don't have it. There's just nothing they can do. They don't have it. And so, again, I like what the Baltimore Ravens did again. I like what they did. When you're better than a team, you show them. You show them. You show them you're better than they are. You come in, you don't even play around with them. You come in, you beat them down early, and you let them know it's no hope. Our quarterback could be looking at you in the fourth quarter, laughing and going to the bathroom because we're better than you. We showed you. We beat you down. You're done. End the story. And so you think about this AFC playoff picture that we saw today. You think about the Houston Texans. Who's afraid of the Houston Texans? Who would be afraid of the Houston Texans going into the playoffs? Because I think any one of these teams, because let's see, if I'm not mistaken, so we know the number 1 seed, if at the end of the day, the Chiefs would get the bye week. And so the 2 plays the worst team, if I'm not mistaken, right? 2 plays the 7. 3 plays the 6. 4 plays the 5. Houston Texans, Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers if that happens. Houston just don't have nothing. They don't. Houston don't have anything. But when you get to these teams up here, it's going to start being a problem for these teams down here, even though Sean Payton and the Broncos defense plays pretty good. Harbaugh, he's got this team motivated. It's going to be a real good playoff over here. And I'm going to tell you this, even though the Chiefs have the number 1 seed, and there's probably a high probability they go to the Super Bowl, I don't think they're going to breeze through this. I don't think they're going to breeze through any of this. I think that whoever they play, they're going to give them a hard time. They're going to give them a very hard time. Let me read some of your comments. But I'm telling you, man, it was really crazy today because the 2 teams that we saw today, I loved what the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs did. And I hope our team, and I hope we can get to the point to where we have a team that when we start going up against teams down the stretch, we flex on them. We're better than you. We're better than you, period. I don't care who you playing for. I don't care who you playing for. I don't care what you playing for. We're better than you. and we're about to flex on you and show you. And we're about to wake you up out of your dream with a cold pitcher of water. And that's what they did today. Alex said, after seeing the Texans play today, I really feel like the Cowboys would have beat them, and not just them, a lot of teams we played. Seems like our team got better as the season went on. And I'll tell you this, Alex. I think if our players had been healthy, because this is what they were actually trying to do, they were trying to get out of the hard part of the schedule. And the Falcon game was supposed to be kind of like the beginning of getting out of the hard part of the schedule, and right on cue, more people got hurt. I think the Cowboys healthy, including Dak, Zach, Trayvon, D-Law, all of them healthy. I think they still would have probably finished around 11-6, because that's what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to finish 11-6. Troy says, Kenny not afraid to, man, Troy, I said this last week. Man, this doggone Kenny Pickett had me rolling, bro. Kenny Pickett came out just slinging that rock, bro. Kenny Pickett was going straight downfield. Man, I was like, wow. What is this dude doing? Man, Kenny was trying to, I think Kenny Kenny wants a job, man. Kenny want a job, man. That's what Kenny want. It won't be with Philly, but Kenny wants a job. Willie T says, if Hurts doesn't play, will the Eagles defense show up? Or does that mean Saquon not playing you? If the backups get on the field, you beat them. But Lord Vaughn kind of brought up something. The Philadelphia Eagles can't afford to lose if they want the number one seed. If they don't want the number one seed, well, it is what it is. But I think they're going to really be trying to win that game against the Cowboys. And I think their defense is going to show up. They're going to be at home, man. They're going to be at home. See, we're thinking Cowboys defense against Philly's offense without Jalen Hurts. But this is the part we're not thinking about. Have we not seen what the Philadelphia Eagles have not only done to Cooper Rush once, but what they've done to him twice? Cooper Rush is not good enough to beat a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. It will not be through the air if they beat Philly. They're going to have to grind it out. They're going to run the ball. They're going to figure out something how to beat this team, because I'm telling you, Philly is built to beat teams like the Cowboys. They're built to beat teams like the Cowboys. Run the ball? Check. Stop the run? Check. Oh, we went and got two cornerbacks to even stop CeeDee Lamb? Check. They're built different. They will not only be able to stop CeeDee Lamb, they will be able to stop whoever even the second receiver is. And I'm telling you this, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to talk about this Friday in the pregame show, but I'm just telling you, man, this is football. CeeDee Lamb wouldn't last a quarter with my team. CeeDee Lamb would not last a quarter on my team. Against my team. I'm going to knock CeeDee Lamb out the game. And I'm not saying that it's a dirty play. We know CeeDee Lamb is dealing with an AC joint injury. CeeDee Lamb has been revealing something that he probably shouldn't be revealing out there in the press. They've been saying this. They said it last week in the broadcast, that CeeDee Lamb, when he catches the ball, he's already putting in his mind, how can he fall without falling on his shoulder? Should have never told nobody that. That's just not something I'm telling anybody. I'm not telling anybody that. Because the moment you let that come out to the wrong team, so you said you don't want to fall on your shoulder. Guess what I'm going to do to you? First time you catch the ball, I'm going to slam you on your shoulder. First time you catch the ball, I'm going to slam you on your shoulder hard as I can. Or if I tackle you, I'm going to make sure, if I can, I'm going to turn you on that right side and I'm going to drive you in the ground on that shoulder. If I block you, I'm going to make sure I hit you extremely hard on that shoulder, even when you're not in the play. I don't care if they're running the ball to the opposite side of where you are. If you're on the field, I'm coming for you. I'm not saying I'm going to headhunt you, but I'm coming for you. I'm going to try to push you on the ground or whatever I can do. Every opportunity I get, and we already know like these guys like Darius Slay, I'm telling you, we're thinking about the Cowboys defense against a Kenny Pickett. Have we thought about their defense against Cooper Rush and CeeDee Lamb? Because I can tell you now, the moment they knock CeeDee Lamb out, the game over. This is why the Cowboys won't sit CeeDee Lamb, because they know the moment CeeDee Lamb is out, they're done. They're absolutely done. And so I'm telling you, man, even if we don't play against Jalen Hurts, which I think I think Jalen Hurts is going to play. I just don't think Jalen Hurts is going to miss this game. I don't. Danga said, who do you think is going to win on Sunday between the Packers and the Vikings? It's going to be a tough game. I forgot. Who's at home here? Let me see. Man, I'm going to tell you something about these doggone Minnesota Vikings. Man, as much as I hate this, man, I'm just being real. Minnesota's good. And they're not just good, they're great. I think they're going to beat Green Bay. I think Minnesota beats Green Bay at home. Yep, I think they beat Green Bay for sure. Willie T said, your argument about Hurts is wrong. What team has complained about beating us when all of our players, what team has complained about beating us when all our players were hurt? Okay, so you're talking about my argument about you want to play the best players. Well, no one's going to make that argument. They're not going to make that argument. But if you're a real dog, no, you want to beat the best. If you're a real dog, man, you want to beat the best. I'm not saying I'm not going to beat your backup, because I am going to beat your backup if he's in there. You better believe it. I'm going to beat your backup, bro. I mean, you saw what happened the first time they played our backup. This is actually the second time they played Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush was on the roll the last time Philadelphia saw him in 2022, and we saw what they did with him then. And I think that defense right now is playing better than that defense was playing then, because they had secondary problems. This defense right now is playing extremely well. So for me, I want to play your starting quarterback. I would much rather play your starting quarterback. But don't get me wrong. Cooper Rush roll out there, I'm going to beat him down too. Because I'm going to tell you how some of these players and these teams think. Because I've been in situations like this before. You ever had somebody come in and everybody hyping them up? You ever played against somebody like that? Everybody hyping them up. You're actually the more superior team. You're the superior team. But this team right here, they on the roll and blah, blah, blah. And everybody talking about that team. I want y'all to think about how ludicrous it is. I was talking about this today on X. It's ludicrous. Everybody else, we're talking about the playoffs. We're talking about our coach on this team. We're playing for our coach. And we're saying the motivation of playing for our coach is higher than the motivation of playing for the playoffs. There's going to be a team, and they're going to tell you that's nonsense. Hype ain't enough. Hype is enough. Adrenaline is enough. On a roll is enough against good teams, average teams. It's not enough when the team is superior to you. I don't care what kind of run you on. When you get to that team that's superior than you, and they're not only superior, but they're hungry too. They got things at stake. And for me, if I was coming up against the Cowboys, one of the problems I would have is, why are they talking about them like they're a playoff team? Okay, we about to show them something today. You're not coming here beating us. You're not coming in our house beating us. Oh, no, I'm playing that team. I'm playing that team like my life depends on it. I'm to the point I don't even care if it's even about the playoffs. I'm playing that particular team like my life depends on it because I'm tired of everybody talking about them like they're actually doing something. If we play Jalen Hurts, you watch what I tell you. I think we'll keep it close early. I just don't think we can hold them. I don't think we can hold them 4 quarters. They are a very good team. And I think they're a bad matchup for us. Packers get the most love after losing to good teams. Packers haven't beat any real Super Bowl contenders in my opinions. Vikings win Sunday. I think so too. But you know what they're riding on? You do know what the Packers are riding on, don't you, Lord Vaughn? The Packers down the stretch last year were winning some pretty good games. But I'm going to tell you the one they're riding, beating the Cowboys. They're riding that, bro. The Green Bay Packers really let the formula out the bag, but the 49ers are really the ones who let the formula out the bag on the Cowboys to me. But the Green Bay Packers kind of perfected it. Rolando says the season was over when Dak tore the muscle off his bone, for real. And we still won't accept that. The Eagles beat us the first time with Cooper Rush. What Eagles fans said it didn't count or didn't mean anything because Dak didn't play. No, that's not my point. No, I'm not saying that, Willie T. But what I am saying is when you are a dog, when you're a dog, I'm not interested in playing the backup quarterback. No, I want to play the starting quarterback. Shannon Sharp has said this before. These quarterbacks have egos out of this world, man. Willie T, they have egos out of this world. You want to know why Tom Brady did not shake the hand of Nick Foles? Tom Brady didn't shake the hand of Nick Foles. Nick Foles talked about it. Tom Brady was not just angry. He was not just angry. He got beat by Nick Foles. Tom Brady was angry because he doesn't view Nick Foles as a good quarterback. I want you to think about the 2 blemishes on Tom Brady's resume that really bother him the most. Tom Brady didn't get beat by Peyton Manning. He didn't get beat by some great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. He got beat by Eli Manning. They'll tell you how Tom acted towards them after those Super Bowls, bro. Tom, you do not like losing. Even though you're not playing, quote unquote, that quarterback, but you are kind of out. You're dueling against that quarterback, as in you're dueling against his defense. And your defense, he's dueling against your defense. And in y'all dueling against each other's defense, y'all are in essence proving which one of y'all are the best. Now, would anybody say Nick Foles was better than Tom Brady? Nobody will say that. But did Nick Foles play on a better team that day? You better believe he did. Tom Brady's stats were off the chart in that game. But Doug Peterson and Nick Foles and that team, they had a better team than the Patriots. And the game plan was almost to perfection. And they beat them. And Nick Foles has talked about that. Man, Tom Brady, why would Tom Brady do that to Nick Foles? Of all people, why did he do it to Nick Foles? Because he didn't feel like Nick Foles. It's an embarrassment to him to lose to Nick Foles. It is. It's an embarrassment. And dogs, fans are different. Fans don't care. Fans, it's just like some of the fans are doing now. I'm laughing because of what some of the fans are doing now. We're talking about an estimated injury report. I mean, what in the world is an estimated injury report? It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. An estimated injury report. In estimation, basically, we practice today. Jalen Hurts won the practice. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo, he wouldn't have practiced today. Not even buying that injury report. Let's wait until the game. Let's wait until Saturday and hear if Jalen Hurts cleared that injury report. But what I am saying is these quarterbacks, they have a lot of pride. It's not like they're not going to beat your quarterback if he's playing. I mean, hey, Jalen going to beat Cooper Rush. I mean, and he's not the one beating him per se, but in his mind, he's out-dueling him because that's what they all do. They want to out-duel each other, even though, because what do we talk about when we talk about quarterbacks? Oh, yeah, man, Tom Brady beat Peyton Manning, or Peyton Manning beat Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes beat Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson beat Patrick Mahomes. Well, they actually didn't beat each other, as in they're playing against each other, but they're out-dueling each other. They're out-dueling each other. No matter how good their defenses are, they're saying, hey, we're going to out-duel each other. And they get into the fact that they're out-dueling, because you think about what we talked about earlier. Somebody mentioned it. So when you start talking about all this MVP race stuff, and you get two quarterbacks who play head-to-head, and they're both in that MVP race, well, one of the first things people ask is, who won? Why are they asking who won? Who won? What was the context? Who were the quarterbacks? When Joe Burrow faced Baltimore, was Lamar Jackson playing? Okay, well, if Lamar Jackson wasn't playing, then it don't matter. Lamar played every game but that one, so it doesn't necessarily matter. Look at the stats. Maybe he got hurt in that game. But what do they say? Oh, wait, both of them played? What was the context? Who won? What do you mean who won? They didn't beat each other, but in a sense, they're out-dueling each other. They're competing against one another. And people look at that in MVP races. And so you think about this. So you're a quarterback and you're in the MVP race, and you know what they start looking at if you're in close with someone else? Hey, what's the strength of schedule? What quarterback did they play? What team did they play? Who was the quarterback? What do you think looked better on your resume if you're C.J. Stroud? Beating Cooper Rush or beating Dak Prescott? Both of them count as wins. But when you start boiling it down to, if you start getting down to the nitty-gritty MVP races or the skill level of that said quarterback, they want to know who is the quarterback they played against. Cooper Rush. C.J. Stroud's better than Cooper Rush. We look at it as a big deal with Cooper Rush if we're beating teams like Tampa Bay. Why? Because we don't even have to feel like it. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield's better than Cooper Rush, period. Baker Mayfield's better than Cooper Rush. Baker Mayfield, his offense let him down. And that's one of the reasons why he lost to the Cowboys. He's better than Cooper Rush. When we beat Tampa Bay, everyone says, hey, man, we beat Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield was starting. But if Tampa Bay beats the Cowboys, is it really as major for them? Oh, yeah, Cooper Rush was the quarterback. You ever had a situation where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't? You ever been in a situation where there's someone smaller than you? And you already know, you're like, man, if I beat this dude up, everybody say, well, you were bigger than him. Then if he beat you up, everybody says, and he was smaller than him. It's two different dynamics. And so I'm not saying that the team is making a big deal out of, well, they're playing with the backup. No, but these starters, they're not, see, our mentality, the fan base mentality, is crazy to me. Because we're actually getting excited if Jalen Hurts is going to be out. Why are we getting excited? Because we think that's a better chance for us to win. Why? because that tells me something about us, and we know it to be true. Philadelphia is better than us with Jalen Hurts. They're better than us. Period. End of story. No discussion. But with Kenny Pickett, we have a little bit better chance, or maybe a lot better chance to win. So we want Kenny Pickett. Why? Let me tell you how I know our mentality is construed. We're playing for nothing but an 8-8 record. That's it. We're playing for an 8-8 record, and we're playing, quote unquote, for our coach. And at the end of the day, you can boil it down to, and of course, you're playing to win. But the Cowboys have put some extra incentives on this stuff. We want to show people we hadn't quit. We still playing hard. Playing for our coach. We playing for pride. We're putting all these extra incentives on it. We are. We're playing for nothing. These other teams are playing for something. Think about that mentality. We don't want the starting quarterback to play. What? I don't know. I'm just from a different era. I'm built different. Nope. My sons will tell you, I talk about this all the time. Nope. You want to be the best? You have to beat the best. I want to beat the best because that's how I measure myself. I don't measure myself by beating people weaker than me. I measure myself by beating the best. I want to beat the best. If you're going on a run and you're saying, man, I want to play the weak teams, man. Oh, man, I hope so-and-so is hurt. Oh, I hope he hurt. Oh, I hope the running back hurt. Oh, I hope the wide receiver hurt. Oh, I'm glad the quarterback hurt. Not me. I'm telling my team, no, we don't think like that, bro. We can only play who's in front of us. So if we're playing the backup quarterback, then we're going to beat him like we were going to beat the starting quarterback. But the way you measure your team, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. That's what I'm saying. Not talking about people complaining, but I am talking about on the other side of, I don't understand the mentality of, we're glad that Jalen Hurts going to be out so we can beat him. That's not how I think. Gabe said Eagles may sit Jalen Hurts down and save him for the playoffs. Even if they lose to Dallas, they can beat the Giants next week, win division, and lock up the 2 seed. I predict we see Philly versus Washington part 3. Well, I also think there is the small chance that the Philadelphia Eagles could get the 1 seed. And they're going to be playing for that very instance. Because if I'm not mistaken, I thought they said the Dallas and Philly game got flexed. But it looks like, I don't know what it originally was, if it did get flexed. But it looks like they're playing at 12 noon from what I can see here. But I thought it got flexed. But I don't know what time it was before, or maybe I heard something. Maybe I thought I heard it, but I didn't. But I thought they got flexed to another time, which may have been a prime time, but it looks like the game is at noon. But when you look at the two teams that are playing in the two teams that they're actually worried about, because they're not worried about the Washington Commanders. They're gonna have a better record than the Washington Commanders. The Detroit Lions are playing the San Francisco 49ers. And the Philadelphia Eagles, unfortunately, because of the hiccup they had last week, they not only need the Detroit Lions, they not only need the San Francisco 49ers to beat the Detroit Lions, and I'm telling you, you better circle that game on upset alert. You better circle the Detroit Lions going to San Francisco on upset alert. That Detroit Lions defense is decimated, and they've been doing a great job with a decimated defense similar to Mike Zimmer. But I will not be surprised if Kyle Shanahan, and I know he's going to still be playing on Monday night. I know they're going to still be playing hard, have his team playing hard. I would not be surprised if the Detroit Lions got beat by the San Francisco 49ers. Not saying it's going to happen, but I would not be surprised. And then, of course, you got the Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings, which, of course, I believe that the Minnesota Vikings are going to beat the Green Bay Packers. But Philly is hoping that both of those teams get beat. And so, in essence, Philly needs to beat Dallas to put pressure on those two teams to win. You got to keep applying pressure because pressure will bust the pipe. And you start playing a little tight against these teams when you know you got to win, man, sometimes you get upset. Sometimes you get upset when you're playing tight. So the Eagles get the strike first, no matter what happens. That's why I said I'm not even worried about these injury reports they're talking about. Let's wait until Saturday. Let's wait until Saturday and see if Jalen Hurts passes the protocol. But I'll tell you this, I still don't think even if Kenny Pickett plays, I don't even think that guarantees the Cowboys a win. Willie says Dan Quinn not a first-year coach, but the Viking coach has done good things. I thought this was Dan Quinn's first year with the Washington Commanders. Okay, I must be okay. I thought this was his first year with the Washington Commanders. It is his first year with the Washington Commanders, though, right? And that's what I mean by first-year coach. It's his first year with the Washington Commanders. No, he's not a first-year coach, but it's his first year with the Washington Commanders. And when you look at what he's done with that team, it is actually nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, Dan Quinn, man, first year brings in a brand new program, brand new owner, change up the whole culture. I mean, Dan Quinn in a year's time with the Commanders. I mean, you turn a team around that quick, and they're not even done for the season. They could literally get 12 wins this season. 12 wins. That would be one of the best turnarounds we've seen in a long time. Now, I'm not going to be surprised if Dan Quinn gets that Coach of the Year. Revelation said a lot of Cowboy fans believe in the ritual of the dry gulch attack. What's the dry gulch attack? tell me what that is. Gabe said not comparing him to CeeDee Lamb, but George Pick'em. Okay, give me some more clarity on that one. Fields need to stay in Pittsburgh next season, and that offense, he will look better. Yeah, and if they're going to commit to him, they need to go ahead and commit to him now. And that's why I say, Willie T, I think they need to start working him in now. I think they need him in the playoffs. I think they need him. What's going on, Purple Soul? Bears, Browns, and Panthers are quarterback killers. I would never go to the Bears and the Browns. And the issue is with the Panthers, I mean, after Cam Newton, boy, them some big shoes to fill. He carried the whole team. Let's talk. The draft is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Quarterback or anyone else. Yeah, and especially with them quarterbacks. And I think in the draft, as crazy as it is, I think the most definitive, I think the guys who typically, they come right in and they make an impact. Running backs. Running back is the most NFL-ready position in football. Because if you can run the rock, man, you just run the rock, period. End of story. If you can run that rock, man, you just run it. It's just nothing nobody can do. There's nothing nobody can do. If you are a flat-out runner of the football, you step right in. You start doing damage. That's why, for me, I want the Cowboys to go in this draft and get them just a pure, unadulterated home run hitter. Ashton Genty, out of the question. The running back from North Carolina, very much in the discussion. I'm getting me a home run hitter. Rico Dowdle can help you grind out games. I haven't seen Rico Dowdle, though, at this point. I haven't seen him be explosive to where he can stick that, boom, one move, bye, see you, go on the crib. That's the kind of running back we need. We need 4.4, 4.3 speed running back. Guy hit one move, two moves, bye, see you later. I'm in the secondary now. I'm gone. I'm telling you, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, that's exactly what they are. They're both going to be very dangerous in the playoffs. They're going to be absolutely dangerous. They are going to be absolutely dangerous, man. When you get home run hitters in the playoffs and you can control the trenches, they're going to do what they do. They are. They're just going to do what they do. Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley are going to do what they do. Oh, yeah, George Pickens, yeah. George Pickens suffers from the CD effect in Pittsburgh. Good teams can lock him up because they don't have another threat on the outside. Yep. And what CD Lamb was suffering from also last season and early this season, which CD finally got over, it seems like. CD didn't seem to understand he was a superstar. When you're a superstar, CD, they game plan for you. Their goal is to take you out of the game. Early in the season, CD Lamb was struggling with that. And you could tell, struggling with that. But as the season went on, CD finally started realizing, okay, this all comes with the territory now. I got to understand this is what they do to me because I am who I am. Pickens, similar to how CD was earlier, the worst part of Pickens is getting in his head. When you get inside of his brain, Pickens lose it. He started doing stupid stuff. He started doing a lot of stupid stuff. And CD Lamb was doing that early. But CD Lamb, right before our eyes, CD Lamb has matured. Playing through the injury, a lot of things he's going through. He's really starting to pick it up. He's really starting to pick it up. And so, yeah, he's looking a lot better. Daniel, since Michael Parsons come back from injury, the Cowboys lead the NFL in sacks and takeaways. Man, I saw that stat today. I'm just telling y'all, man. I'm just telling you what the games, I'm telling you what the tape is showing. I'm telling you what the stats are showing. CD Lamb is doing and stacking a lot of these things against the bad teams. But he's not doing this stuff against the good teams. And I'm not saying that he's not a factor on the field. Let's not even say that. He is a factor on the field. Anytime you're good, you're a factor on the field. But the reality is he's undersized and he struggles against the bigger tackles and the better teams. And that's one of the reasons why when you go back and start looking at his stats, Marlon Brando goes all the way back, digging out a Kansas City game. You can dig out a game if you want to, but I'm not talking about a game. I'm talking about a trend and a pattern with him. Even this year, when you look against the better offenses, the better teams, he doesn't register sacks. He doesn't get a lot of tackles, but because he's better than average. He's great, but he's undersized. And because he's great, he's strong, he's got a lot of skill, when you're playing teams that are average or not as good on their tackles, he can get around them. He can do certain things with them. But when he plays against these good teams, he's not racking up the stats. Because even if you look at the Tampa Bay game, it wasn't a great game for CD Lamb, and they admitted it. Wasn't a great game for him. Of course it wasn't. And if you look at what Mike Zimmer is doing, Mike Zimmer deserves a lot of credit. Mike Zimmer is doing a few things that's a little uncharacteristic of Mike Zimmer. Anybody been noticing how much Mike Zimmer's been blitzing lately? Mike Zimmer has been doing some blitzing lately, man. He's been sitting in the crib. He's been sitting in safety zone blitzes, cornerbacks, linebackers. He has been sending in additional pass rushers so that when Micah is coming, they can't just key in on Micah. He's making them key in on other people. Zim, man, people don't understand. That's why I've been calling him a magician this year. Zim been doing his thing. But I'm telling you, man, we're not really playing. We're still not playing teams, even though Tampa Bay, they were able to stop him some. But Zimmer, I'm telling you, Zimmer's just doing some great things. But when you start playing against these really good teams, which we're not going to get that opportunity. We're going to play the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington. And Philly's a really good team. But I think that Philly is going to show us once again we still got a ways to go. Even though I'm not going to take anything away from Zim. Zim stopped Saquon Barkley the last time. But I can tell you this. I don't care what team it is. It's going to be hard to stop Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. That's the problem. Can you stop both of them? It's hard to stop both of them. And like I said, I think the first time he held Saquon Barkley, 64 yards? Had no answer for Jalen Hurts. Because if you're gonna go single high safety, well, you better get ready. Because the moment they run that play action, it's gonna be a wrap. Saquon, the moment they run that play action, he don't got nobody to throw to. It's a wrap. Jalen Hurts going to break out that pack on you. He'll break out the pack on you. Let me skip down some. Azteca, what's going on? And Mike Tomlin went to continue to keep his job as head coach because he got that one ring with McCarthy. Team stuck in the past. We need a new coach. McCarthy glory days are done. Yeah, I've been saying it too. Mike Tomlin teams will win his worst season is 8-8, and that's without a good quarterback. And you know what the problem is, Willie T? Tomlin has got to get a quarterback, man. And even if they go with Justin Fields, I think they need to draft somebody. And I think they need to draft a show enough quarterback so if he don't work out, you don't have all your stock in Justin Fields. I think they really need to go in there and get a quarterback. Gabe said Chiefs are like a different team with the speed of Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy out there these last two games. Yes, they do. That's what their offense been missing all season. Mahomes looked like his better self because his better self is with Tyreek Hill. And when you give him some speed on that outside, he looks a lot better. Azteca said, cool story. Doesn't get you a ring. My brother Steelers fan. Hold on a second. Let me go down a few more. Y'all doing some conversating in there. Stop it, Ryan. You better not say that in here. Tony Romo was better than Troy to me as a quarterback. But you better stop that. Lord Vaughn said, no wins count, just an asterisk beside both wins. Yeah. Ryan said, I think Derrick Henry will be better in the playoffs than Barkley because of how physically dominant he is going through you. You know, it's kind of funny when you say that. It all depends on, you think about who they're playing and what division they're playing in. I'll say this. I'm going to show you something you might not realize. Let's look at the playoff pitch again. I'm going to show you something absolutely astounding about this playoff picture and why you might want to look at this a little bit different. So I want you to look at this. When I look at Lamar Jackson and the defenses that him and Derrick Henry may have to go through, because the Bengals did a number on him this year, on Derrick Henry, at least in that second game. But even with that, when I think about the Chiefs' defense, I think they can stop both of them. They beat the Bills up pretty bad. I think even the Steelers, I think even the Steelers could at least work with what they have. I think the Broncos, if they wound up playing the Broncos or the Chargers, I think both of those teams, while they may not be able to stop them, I think they could probably deal a little bit with them when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. But here's my problem when you start talking about the Eagles and why Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts are going to be absolutely nasty in this playoffs. The Lions defense is decimated. Man, it's decimated. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, I think in the playoffs can work with this. I also think in any one of these two teams right here, I think they can work on them, especially the Packers. They can do work on them. And any of these seeds down here, man, it's going to be a tough out for them with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I think the road for Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley is easier, even though I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry probably are a little bit better. Because Lamar Jackson is just crazy when he's running the ball. But when you think about explosive runs, Saquon Barkley got way more explosive runs than Derrick Henry. Saquon Barkley leads the league in explosive runs. So when I look at a couple of these defenses over here, I mean, I think they're gonna have their work cut out for them. I'm really ready to see how the whole playoff. I'm really ready to see how this whole thing all boils down because, will the Ravens go on a run? I mean, they still got two more. This is going to really be a fight to the finish. I'm really ready to see how it all turns out. Willett said, okay, G, people were saying C.J. Stroud was better than Dak Prescott. Said it today. Yep. A lot of those people were saying that he was better. Now, the question is, when they going to start giving C.J. Stroud the Dak Prescott treatment? Now, I'm going to tell you something about C.J. Stroud. And I've noticed this about these first rounders, Willie T, versus a guy like Dak Prescott, who's a fourth rounder. They're more ready to throw away a fourth rounder because a lot of them are mad because if you go back and look at what they said about Dak Prescott when the Cowboys drafted him, they said he was going to be nothing more than a backup. That's all he'd ever be in this league. Cooper Rush. That's all they said he was going to be. Dak Prescott has exceeded everyone's expectations. Everyone's expectations. Even Jerry Jones was joking about it the other day. Jerry Jones was joking, saying we knew that when we drafted Dak Prescott, he was going to be this, that, and the other. Because he knew they didn't know it. So when you think about that, a lot of people are ready. They're ready to throw away a Dak Prescott because they want to be right. They want to be right about the fact that this is all he could ever do. I'm going to tell you something about Dak Prescott. I'm going to do a story on this in the near future. I'm telling y'all, I don't believe Dak Prescott is going out like Tony Romo. I think Dak Prescott is going to finish his career with a vengeance. He takes way better care of his body. And I think he's a lot more serious about football. And the reason why I say that is Tony Romo was such a good athlete. Man, people do not understand how good of an athlete Tony Romo was. Tony Romo was a great athlete. Football, basketball. But the one sport he really loved was golf. And Tony would spend a lot of his time in the offseason playing golf. Played a lot of golf in the offseasons. I don't think Dak's going to go out like that. I think Dak's going to buckle down, try to get his body back together, and I think Dak is going to finish really, really strong the last 3 years of his career with Dallas. He's got a extension of 3 years, but it's a 4-year, I think. It's a 4-year extension, but they can get out from under it in that 4th year, and unless Dak is just balling out of his mind, I think that'll probably be the last year we'll see Dak unless unless Dak gives this team such a crazy discount and they allow Dak to retire with the Cowboys. But I think 3 years tops with Dak. And so a lot of these teams, they're a lot more willing to throw Dak Prescott away. And I think for C.J. Stroud, because he's a first-round draft pick, they're going to do him kind of like they do Justin Herbert. When it's someone who they predicted to be successful, they give him every excuse. And they say it's this person or that person or this is the context. It's all about all of those things when it comes to the guys who they want to be successful. Why? Because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. And that's why they do some of those things. Azteca said we need another receiver in the draft. Yep, we do. We do. We need another one in the draft. Lord Vaughn said we're not going to harp on it, but if Winers fans bring up anything, we remind them of the NFC Championship loss. Man, Alex, how do you feel about our draft spot? I don't like it. Don't like it. And I understand what a lot of people are saying. I'm not going to argue what you're saying, that we should be playing to win. I'm not saying you shouldn't be playing to win. But we're going to think about this stuff when we get in the draft. When all those Ashton Genties and Abdul Carters and all those guys are gone, and if we mess around and, man, you mess around and win these last 2 games and you're going to be drafting pretty close to where you were drafting before, I've already said it, man. Once you get to the number 20, I mean, people, I don't know, these draft experts, they say, once you get to 20, it's not even the first round no more. Everything after 20 can be considered the second round. The top tier talent is in the top 15. The closer you can get to 10, the better you are. And to me, once you start getting into the 15s and 16s, I'd be honest with you. I mean, if I can get the running back I want at number 31 or 32, I'll trade back and get me more draft picks. I'll find out who everybody wants, man. I'll be on the phone like, who wants this draft pick? I'll trade back. I'll trade back because who are we going to get at this point? If you're not in the top 15, you're not in that top 15. I would just trade back at that point. Wilson said they're going to run the ball crazy that game. Cowboys defense hasn't played real good teams in the last stretch of the 2024 season. This is the best team since the Commanders and Bengals. Yep. And they got a very good run game. Alex G for the Cowboys new GM, man, they got some guys that can probably do it better than me. But I tell you this, if it was up to me, I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm going to run heavy with this team next year. I'm going to build my team similar to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go and get Dak Prescott, not 1, but 2 bona fide running backs. I'm going to go in the draft, and I'm going to get him either 1, and I would really rather have a number 1 wide receiver and a number 2 running back. The Cowboys have spent too many draft picks on the O-line and D-line in the first round. Too many, man. Too many. I think they need to go into free agency. I think when you're talking about the trenches, I think you need a veteran presence. Not saying you can't play with young guys. I think you need a veteran presence. For me, on my defense and my offensive line, I would like to have at least 1 veteran on the offensive line, 2 if I can get them, 1 veteran on the defensive line, 2 if I could get them, 1 veteran in the secondary, 1 veteran at linebacker. That's what I would want to have. I think you need veteran presence. 1, to help these young guys mature and mentor some of them and stay in their face. Stay in their face. Tell them to stay in their place. Tell them how to be professionals. Tell them this is what winning looks like. I would have that all around my team. I like having a younger team, but I would still have some of these younger guys around. Willie T, I already said it. I said it. I don't think CD needs to play no more. I just don't. But they have put themselves in this mode of, Willie, that it's all about winning. It's all about winning. And I'm gonna give a couple of stories here before I get out of here. Willie T said if we lose the last 2 games, it doesn't change anything with the coaching staff. Willie T, I think the evaluation is done, man. Man, you look at what you've done the last few games. Because the last 2 games, you really have the potential to lose anyway. And I'm not saying go out there and lose those games, but I'm saying still try to win those games. But I wouldn't be playing CD Lamb because I'm telling you, man, Eagles going to be out for blood, man. They are. And they're going to be playing real tough. Gee, supposedly I heard Mike McCarthy said that Trey Lance will not play for him on this team. Apparently, Trey has not mastered this dumbed down West Coast, but I think there's more to this than meets the eye. Gabe, and the reality is, Trey Lance don't fit the system. Dak Prescott don't even fit this system. The Texas Coast, what they had last year, was tailored for Dak. This mess they've been running this year, Mike McCarthy, for some reason, has went back to a pure West Coast, which actually fits Cooper Rush. That West Coast offense, 1 read, boom. Ball out of your hand quick, boom. It's not about going down the field vertically. It's an extension of your run game, or it's a run game. And it really fits Cooper Rush. It does. This West Coast offense really fits Cooper Rush. It doesn't fit Dak Prescott. And it doesn't fit Trey Lance. Because Trey Lance has, I would guarantee you, Trey Lance has the strongest arm out of all three of them. Trey Lance just doesn't have the touch. Trey Lance doesn't have the quarterback mind. Doesn't have enough reps on the field. Real-time war. He doesn't have the war play. And so that's what's hampering him. Arm strength, though? Nah. He's a down-the-field thrower. And Mike McCarthy's already said he's not going to play. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. But maybe the Philadelphia Eagles will render him like the first game. Maybe they'll render Cooper Rush so ineffective. Maybe they won't have no choice but to go to him. Willie T says, when you beat and bad with their starters, do you think makes a difference? Okay, I think that's what you meant. When you beat a bad team, okay, give me some more clarity on that. Chris the Rebel, what's going on? He was mad he lost to average quarterback. Man, I'm telling you. Hey, Chris, people don't understand, man. These quarterbacks, boy, these quarterbacks have egos out this world, man. He does have egos. Man, I'm telling you, because Shannon Sharp was talking about it. He said, man, these quarterbacks, y'all do not understand the egos these dudes have. Leah Fowler and Overshown. Woo, man. But I tell you this, we got to go in this draft like we're not going to have Overshown. First round wide receiver, running back, and Dak back. I'm excited for next season. Alex, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to be talking about this after the last game because that's what I'm excited for too. J.R., what's going on? He said, but if Tom Brady doesn't think Nick Foles was not a good quarterback, why did he lose to him if he was a terrible quarterback? Tom Brady should beat the brakes off the Eagles team and won a Super Bowl with no issues. But you notice what I said? Philadelphia Eagles had a better team. Just like the New York Giants team that beat Tom Brady. Eli Manning, in no multiverse, is better than Tom Brady. But in those two games, he had a better team. Man, it's hard to beat a good team. And Tom was furious about that loss to the Philadelphia Eagles because it was the one time, when you think about it, it was the one time when Bill, it's probably been more times than that, but in particular in that game, it was the one time that Bill Belichick's defense really let Tom Brady down. Man, I just want to give us some history. This is the box score of the Philadelphia game, the Philadelphia Patriots. And the Philadelphia Eagles were downright that year. They were a better team. They scored 9, 13, 7, and 12. They immediately got the Patriots on their heels, up 9-3. Up, what is that? Up 22, as that is? They were up 22-12 first half. Go up and get 29-26 third quarter. I mean, when you look at how they did this, they literally kept they kept the Patriots on their heels the whole game. But this is the part that lets you know what I'm telling you about this game. Nick Foles was not the better quarterback. Nick Foles was playing on the better team that day. Nick Foles was 28 for 43, 373, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tom Brady was 28 for 48, 505 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and you lose the game? That's crazy work. That's crazy work. It is. But the game plan that Doug Peterson put together, the game plan he put together, the team and how they played, they were better. They were better than the Patriots. And there was just nothing that Bill Belichick could do about it. Where Brady beat them in the run, beat them in the pass, they beat them in the run. They literally controlled the game, the whole game. At no point in this game, even with them scoring 14 points, what was it, in the third quarter? There was no point in this game where I thought that the Patriots were going to come back on the Philadelphia Eagles. Doug Peterson had their number that day. They were the better team on that day. This dude, Tom Brady, is an egomaniac. He was furious. He was furious. He's like, how does he lose a game like this? How does he lose a game like this? When he has this kind of game in the passing game. Amendola, Hogan, Gronkowski. He got his dogs running with him, man. He got his dogs running with him. Burkhead. Y'all remember these guys, man? He got dogs running with him. They had a better team. Just had a better team. There's no getting around it. Tom Brady's still mad about this. Still mad about it. You ever notice he don't talk about that Philadelphia Super Bowl? He don't talk about that one. At least Eli Manning was a starter. Nope. This dude got beat by Nick Foles, man. Nick Foles, man. Boy, that's tough treading right there. Cowboy 5 rings. What's going on? He said, was the Dallas defense physical in the game Sunday night? Yes. The secondary especially. Secondary played out of his mind. He said it might not be CD getting hurt as Evans and Shepard. Yeah. I think this I think the Philly offense, though, they have an advantage that the Bucs didn't have. They didn't have an answer on the other side. Let me tell you about this dude, Devontae Smith. Man, he good, dude. 5 rings. He good, man. He ain't one of them wide receivers from the Buccaneers. This little dude is really, really good. But on the other side of that, too, Jalen Hurts, if he plays, he's good, too. He'll hurt you. 5 rings says, I agree. Lil Fowler was laying wood on the Bucs receivers. Those two together, oh, yeah. And that whole Dallas defense, that secondary was going crazy. Those safeties and those corners was, man, you could hear plastic breaking out there, man. We still need to draft another linebacker. I agree. And we need to draft I'm just telling you, man, I was looking at Overshown's size because Overshown will not be back next season. They're talking about late in the season. I wouldn't even bring him back. I would just let him sit out the whole season. And the good news is, from what I'm understanding, is he's already walking. Got a knee brace on. He's already walking around. But if I were the Cowboys, I would actually move Overshown to safety and let him be the new Darren Woodson of the Dallas Cowboys. He's fast enough. He's quick enough. He can hit, and I believe he can play pass coverage. He can cover tight ends. He can cover maybe a third wide receiver. I think Overshown can do that. I would get him away from the piles, the scrums, and things like that because the last injury he got rolled up on. He's a very light dude to be playing linebacker. And I would really think about moving him to safety. Tom Brady didn't always shake the hand of every quarterback he lost to. I tell you this, though, Willie T., you got to go and look up the stuff that Nick Foles, though. Man, the stuff Nick Foles said, man, this ain't just not about a handshake. The Tom Brady treatment of Nick Foles has to be studied. That dude losing to Nick Foles, man, he did not like that whatsoever. Azteca said, true, but you never could be a great player out of the You never could be a great player out of the bunch if we develop him. If not, we can sign a veteran or a young free agent next year as well. Yeah, like I said, they got to really start planning for him. And if you're talking about Overshown, and like I said, I really wish they would make Overshown into the next Darren Woodson. Get him away from those piles, man. And don't let those big dudes, I mean, you down there with those big linemen and linebackers, and you're in there trying to stop the run. Man, you get rolled up on in that mess, man. Players are not playing for McCarthy. They're playing to get the next contract and not to. Willie T, I've been saying the same thing, man. But if you listen to Jerry, if you listen to Mike McCarthy, if you listen to the media, Willie T, this is all about Mike. This is all about Mike McCarthy. Oh, the players are playing hard for him. They want him to be their coach. They haven't quit on the coach. How can they quit on him? Half of them don't have contracts. Man, these players are trying to get paid. We don't want to use it. We don't want to use that context. Alex said, I hope he's back by mid-season. I think they're saying that it's going to be towards the end. And I will say, if the Cowboys are making some kind of playoff run and he's fully healthy, I'd play him. I would. I'd play him. I would play him, especially if you're about to make a playoff run. Miss Matrix, what's going on? The game was at 325, but it flexed to 12 p. Okay. Hey, wait a minute. You said because the Cowboys suck. Okay, I thought they were flexing it the way I heard someone talking. They were flexing it because it's an exciting game between the Cowboys and the Eagles. You said we have nothing to play for now, so it's not exciting. Okay, I got you. Okay. This makes you tripping me out. Willie T said, gee, there's only one team that can say they are the best. Who else has won a championship lately? Yep, I'm with you. So beating teams that had a winning record for a season now doesn't matter. Yeah, and Jerry's been making a similar argument. But I do say at the same time, there is something to be said when you're getting to NFC championship games and you're just right there that close. All you got to do is win that game and get to the Super Bowl. And even then, you still fall short because, people always talk about people falling short. But, man, I tell you, it would be so good to see the Cowboys make it past the first round for a change. Yeah. You talk about Dan Quinn. Yeah, it's going to be his first year as the Commanders coach. And what he's done has been nothing short of spectacular. I will not be surprised if he gets the coach of the year. Yep, Alex, we've had bad luck with the linebackers. McClay would be a good fit. Mike is good, but he is not a generational player that people think he is. You better stop saying that, Willie T. They'll be mad at you like they mad at me because I keep saying it. Generational players take over games. I keep saying it. Generational players take over games no matter how good or bad a team is. You know how we know this, Willie T? Me and you, we're probably somewhere around the same age. We watched Lawrence Taylor take over games. We watched them. We've watched Dallas Cowboys have some of these great linebackers like those Ken Norton and those guys making crazy plays on defense. We've seen it. We've seen it. Gee, how are the Cowboys going to fill out their needs in 2025 with only 10 draft picks and over $100 million in cap, and they will spend the money? They're going to top load the team again. It's the only alternative. They're going to have to top load the team because we're going to have to bring back some of these players that we have. There are going to be some casualties. There's going to be some casualties. And they're going to try to fill those casualties through the draft. I will not be surprised if they do one or two things in free agency and trades. And after that, we already know what the Cowboys are going to do. They're going to wait until the draft is over. And they're going to find the cheapest players they can find. That's what they're going to do. That's exactly what they're going to do. Saquon has to get an explosive run. He cannot grind and pound you all game. No, he's not. That's not his style. Yeah, that's not his style. But here's the problem. Shoot, that joker going to hit you for that home run. He going to catch you slipping. Romo didn't focus enough on football. Yep, Paul Sales called him out on that, not playing that for playing too much golf. See, a lot of people don't understand. See, Romo was not a better quarterback than Troy Aikman, but he was a better athlete than Troy Aikman. Man, I'm telling you, go back and look at Tony Romo. Go back and do some research on Tony Romo. Man, that joker was an athlete. Straight up athlete. Football, basketball, and golf. If I'm not mistaken, Tony Romo was one stroke off of making the PGA Tour one season. And I'm just kind of like, what was this joker going to do? In the offseason, be on the PGA Tour? Yeah, Tony didn't focus on football enough. Overshown is going to miss. And they're saying that he could come back, but I don't think they should do it. I think they should let him sit out the whole time. The Eagles had a good running duo in that game, but didn't build on it the next season. I think the number 14 for the Eagles is a really good running back too. Since we are going to be talking about the next game against the Eagles on Sunday, should Bland be on A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith? Now, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't even play Deron Bland. I just think it's time to sit down some of these guys because I just wouldn't be risking injuries. But if they're going to play, and I'm sure Deron Bland's going to play, this is a sticky situation. See, Deron Bland changed the game with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is similar to Dallas. You stop Mike Evans, the other two, you got a good chance with. Philly different. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are really, really good. Now, I don't know if they'll do it. It would be great if they could put Jordan Lewis on him, but Jordan plays the slot. So, if it's me, I'm putting Deron Bland I would probably go ahead and let him shut down A.J. Brown. Because I think A.J. Brown is probably the most dangerous of the two. He's the most dangerous of the two. So I would probably let him do it, but even then, boy, Devontae Smith is going to be a problem for anybody else. He said, "Gee, don't blame Brady for still being mad for losing to Foles. I'm still mad about Man, you too. Man, every time I see Terry Bradshaw, I think about them the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, back in the 70s. And really, it was the 79. I think it was the 70. Was it the 78 season? And that dude was named Jackie Smith. Boy, I'm telling you. Boy, you want to talk about people crying when he dropped that pass in that end zone. Woo-wee. Man, people cried. People cried when he dropped that pass. JM, what do you think would cause Jerry to go all in on Cowboys? What would make him do or force his hand? Maybe he will cause his Netflix deal because he wants to shine on TV. Man, I said the same thing. I think he may do some crazy stuff next year because of the Netflix thing. He said, leave Ocean linebacker. You think so? Well, yeah, you're right then. If he gonna stay there, he better add some weight. Because he a little light to be playing linebacker. That's why Willie says that's why I won't listen to the media and definitely not to Jerry about anything. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna do a video about Jerry. I'm gonna tell you something about Jerry, man. I think it's crazy. Jerry might be gaslighting us, y'all. Let me get to that story right now. Azteca said, past the second round, aka championship game. Man, I would love to see it. Alex said, the day Jerry steps down, we're having a parade in Dallas. Hey, don't be so fast. You think Jerry is bad? Wait until Steven takes it over. Boy, when Steven take this team over, boy, y'all better get ready. It's going to be real tight. Gee, you're right about the philosophy, but his drafting homegrown talent from the draft and going bargain bin shopping in free agents it's it. It's not translating. That's why I think he's going to have to really – I would spend some money on the trenches in free agency. I would. I'd spend some money in the trenches. Willie T, yep, you missed about one stroke. Man, that doggone Tony Romo was an athlete, man. He was. Daniel says, you're right. A.J. Brown is a top target for the Eagles. Shut him down and you force other guys like Smith, Goddard, and Gainwell and Dotson to hurt you when they haven't done much. Yeah, I would have to really put Deron Bland Oh, A.J. Brown, because he the one that'll hurt you, man. Boy, Willie T, boy, Jackson Smith dropped that boy, Willie T dropped, when Jackson Smith dropped that doggone touchdown in that end zone, boy, whoo. Man, people cried. Let me hit y'all with these two stories. I want to hit these two stories, and I'll probably hit them again tomorrow, but I want to hit them for y'all on the Late Late Show tonight. There is a crazy story going. And I told y'all this. I made mention of this twice if y'all might not remember. I said, wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy if Mike McCarthy decided to turn Jerry Jones down? What if Mike McCarthy decided to turn Jerry Jones down for the job? I don't know how true it is, but it is being reported on Athlon Sports. Mike Fisher is writing this story. It says, here's what some are calling a wild theory. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones offered his lame duck coach a contract extension, only to have Mike McCarthy to turn down the job. Didn't I tell y'all, wouldn't it be funny? I told y'all, wouldn't it be funny if Mike McCarthy turned down the job? Now, Bobby Belt, I was thinking Bobby Belt is maybe he's just kind of reaching or whatever the case may be. But Bobby Belt said he felt like that when they had interviewed Mike McCarthy before the game, and it wasn't them, it was Brad Sham or one of them. And he said that Mike McCarthy seemed very uptight. And he said that when he noticed that Mike McCarthy, how he called the game, that I'm going to do this my way now. Now that we're out of the playoffs, I'm going to do it my way. And I'm about to start putting some things on tape so that I can start building my resume, right? Well, now they're saying, what if Mike McCarthy turned down the job? I said it last week. I'm telling you, because Mike McCarthy is not one of the highest paid, not one of the highest paid coaches. He's not. Chase Daniels knows more about football than most of the rest of us put together. Finding a way to forge a year career as a backup quarterback in the NFL before recently making a move into media will do that for a guy. But Daniel, in the case of Jerry Jones and Coach Mike McCarthy, seems to think he knows a great deal more than he actually does. Okay. Daniel is tossing out what he is calling a wild theory on FS1 that would have the Cowboys owner Jones offer his lame duck coach a contract extension, only to have Mike McCarthy turn down a job with America's team to move instead to fill the vacancy with the Chicago Bears. Now, this is Daniel Jones. This is a hot take. But I said this before then, because I want y'all to think about this. The coaching market is drying up. The experienced coaching market is drying up. So unless you want to recycle some fired coach or some coach who, some older coach who hasn't been coaching for a while, you want to recycle them. Or you're going to pay the big money to the Ben Johnsons of the world. Unless you're going to do that, Mike McCarthy, in the eyes of some, may be a very good fit for them. Maybe. And while it is Chase Daniels, so I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it. It's a wild take. But Who's to say Mike McCarthy doesn't look at his options? They're talking about the holes in it is that people don't realize that Mike McCarthy's actually free agent can sign anywhere. They don't. Which people are these? People who don't follow sports. Asterisk number 2, are we sure he wants to go back to Dallas? This remark is considered to be a wow by some, but this is not and has not been outrageous thought. If Mike McCarthy is somehow the object of a bidding war, his agent will accept bids. And Mike McCarthy went and got him a new agent last year. McCarthy has, after 5 years, built a life here, complete with his ownership in not one but area mansions with his family. That's consideration, but it's no scoop to suggest a man who from the start of his career to his landing with the Packers coached 8 different places in 18 years, with Dallas as his 9th stop. It doesn't seem at all far-fetched in the nomadic life of a coach, a guy who would consider a place number 10. Another asterisk, he knows the NFC North well, maybe, but he's been in the NFC East for 5 years and 7 years removed from having coached Green Bay in the North. He develops quarterbacks almost better than anyone. We don't argue this, but proving its merits as a thesis paper from an expert like Daniel, not a tweet. By the way, the subject of quarterback, Daniel veers wildly off the rails when he claims that the Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams is more a developed player now than Dak was before Mike McCarthy's Dallas arrival. That's not true. No, Dak was well developed when Mike got there. The insinuation that McCarthy made Dak, that's not true either. Dak was already having good seasons. In 2019, before McCarthy got there, while being coached by another quarterback tutor, Jason Garrett, Dak threw for 4,902 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, plus 3 rushing touchdowns. That's far-fetched. He had a very good rookie campaign too. But with all of that, and like I said, it's kind of a hot take. But I've said this already before. What if Mike McCarthy does have options? What if he's like Dan Quinn? What if he gets the opportunity to go to a place to where he can actually do it his way? What if he gets that opportunity? It just makes you wonder about Mike McCarthy. And it also makes me wonder when I think about this. Jerry Jones keeps talking so good about Mike McCarthy. Y'all don't find that to be strange? Why does he keep talking so good about Mike McCarthy, but he hasn't signed him yet? That's strange to me. Now, I'm just to the point now. Let's just stop talking about this. You don't have to gush over Mike McCarthy every single week, even in the loss. Even when he made the mistakes against the Cincinnati Bengals and didn't run the ball no more after the mid-fourth quarter, he was still gushing. And he's gushed and gushed and gushed and gushed about Mike McCarthy the entire way. It makes you wonder in the grand scheme of things, though, doesn't it? Why does he keep talking about Mike McCarthy? Who is he trying to convince? And that's what I was asking the other day. Who is he trying to convince? Most of us have already conceded that we believe that more likely than not, he's going to bring Mike McCarthy back. So why keep talking about it? It's almost like, to me, he's doing this so that he doesn't have to, in a sense, he's not going to sully Mike McCarthy's reputation in case he winds up going somewhere else. In case he has to go somewhere else. But it's crazy to me. Why does he keep talking about Mike McCarthy? And who's to say that Mike McCarthy wants to be here? I just thought that was a strange. I've already said it before. There has already been talk in the wind. Don't know how true it is. That the Jets could be interested in Mike McCarthy. I would find it hard to believe that they would allow him, that Aaron Rodgers would actually want to play for him again. But that's what the talk is. That's what the talk is. So, I don't know. Crazy to me. I just thought that story was crazy. But it's not far-fetched. It is not far-fetched as some people may think. And I was actually laughing that there's another story out here that I don't know if y'all heard Jason Garrett on Sunday night last week, but Jason Garrett is saying, and this may be one of the reasons why they're still trying to win, or why Mike McCarthy's trying to win. Jason Garrett said that he doesn't believe the Cowboys are sold on Mike McCarthy as much as they keep talking about Mike McCarthy. He said he don't think they're sold. And he stated that if Mike McCarthy does not win these last 2 games, he don't believe they're going to bring him back. I just find that hard to believe, because I'm just kind of like, why does it have to be on these last 2 games? Have you not seen? Mike McCarthy is what he is. He is what he is. What else can you make? He is what he is. But if you let Jason Garrett tell it, they're still evaluating Mike McCarthy all the way down to the end of the season. And they're basically saying that if he doesn't win this game or these last 2 games, that, I don't know. That's crazy to me. But Jason Garrett said that if he doesn't win these last 2 games, he said, and I quote, they will do him like they did me. That's Jason Garrett. And if there's anybody who knows what this looks like, I guess it's Jason Garrett. But that's what he said. That's what he said. And so, I just find that to be crazy. Yeah, I just find that to be crazy. So I don't know. This Mike McCarthy thing, I think it's going to be a lot crazier. I don't know about necessarily crazy, but I do think that Jerry, when the season is over, does not need to make a hasty decision. Really analyze this thing and weigh out your options of, okay, what will it look like? Weigh out your options of, what are the options out there? What are the options out there? And really make the decision that is best for your team, and not the decision that everybody wants us to make. Okay, so here's a story right here. Miss Matrix was about, because she said, because we're sorry. So, okay, so Miss Matrix, it look like you hit it right on the head. It says the NFL announced a significant Week 17 schedule change on Monday afternoon, flexing the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles matchup out of the 425 slot in favor of the Green Bay Packers versus Minnesota. Yeah, that's going to be, we might be shocked thinking that's going to be a better game, and that might not be a better game. The Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles may be the better game. This NFC East contest between the Cowboys and the Eagles will now kick off at 1 p.m. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion during the first quarter of the matchup against the Washington Commanders. He took a big hit on a scramble. He's in the NFL concussion protocol, blah, blah, blah. I am not buying it. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be playing. I'm not even listening to any of these stories. But I guess, again, they figured that the 3 o'clock game is a lot bigger and more important game than a more important game than the one with the Cowboys. Yeah, man, I really thought, though, overall, I thought the NFL on Netflix was good today. I don't really watch the NBA no more. McCarthy can get a $5 to $10 million as a head boy. Willie T, you're right. He can. He can get $5 to $10 million as a college coach, straight up. Bill Belichick, I don't think he was going to be able to get offered what he wanted. He went straight to the colleges, got $10 million. If McCarthy were to leave the Cowboys, he would take the Saints head coach job because the Saints have a legit offense and they have a solid defense along with a great fan base in Louisiana. You know what's crazy, Daniel M? I don't think anyone is thinking about this. Mike is probably going to have options. When we think about what he's done with the Cowboys and now Cooper Rush, man, he going to have options. Willie T, Jaguars could be interested in McCarthy. He going to have options. Dang it, I can't see the Jaguars being interested in McCarthy, but crazy things have happened in the NFL coaching carousel. We will see if McCarthy truly is going to be gone or be brought back. You know what? This is the part that no one's considered. I talked about this. What if he don't want to come back? What if someone says, hey, Jerry paying you $4, I'll pay you $8. Wow. Man, I'm telling you, this is going to be very interesting. Daniel says if Hurts plays, we lose 24-13. If Pickett plays, we win 21-17. I wouldn't be surprised if Pickett plays, we win. Miss Matrix says, will this make Jerry Stephen wake up? We haven't been flexed backwards in never. God, that's crazy. That is crazy. Boy, the Cowboys been flexed out. No. Alex, appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you too, Alex. Appreciate the support, my brother. If McCarthy walk, who can Jerry get? Willie T. I heard something crazy today about Mike Vrabel. They're already saying there is a bidding war about Mike Vrabel. Already. He's in high demand. Vrabel is in high demand, Willie T. So if Vrabel is in high demand and he gets scooped up, which I wouldn't be surprised by the Chicago Bears. So what does that mean if Mike McCarthy hits the open market? Which it seems to me this is exactly what the Cowboys are doing. They're going to let him hit the open market. And the Cowboys are actually notorious for doing this. The Cowboys would love for you to hit the open market because if you can't get the price that you want, then they get to bring you back cheap. They do. Willie T, I don't know if I can remember the last time we were flexed out of a game. Wow. Boy, times are changing in Dallas. I'm with you, Miss Matrix. Man, Jerry got to look at this and be like, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. They're moving us out of the 3 o'clock spot. Man, the church folk won't even be home yet. That's embarrassing, man. Golly. Times are changing. Maybe times are changing to make Jerry change. Maybe even Mike McCarthy. Man, what if Mike McCarthy was to turn Jerry Jones down? Maybe that would be something that would wake him up too. That Mike McCarthy says, hey, man, enough, man. I'm done with this, man. I don't want to do this no more here. That would be crazy. Maybe it happens. All right, guys. I'm gonna try to do the late show some more. It kind of messes with my schedule, but once I get my schedule right, I'm gonna try to do this late show about three times a week if I can. But I'll definitely be back tomorrow around 5:30. I am positive there will be more. Miss Matrix said not still in church. Hey, Miss Matrix, it all depends on where you go. It all depends on where you go. Yeah, I'm going to try to do that late show about 3 times a week. Because I don't hardly sleep at night anyway. I be up brainstorming and everything else. So might as well just come on and talk about football to anybody who wants to come on and talk. So, again, man, I appreciate everybody who came on tonight. Y'all like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you let other folks know about the Late Show. And I'm going to try to get a steady schedule on this. Willie T said, get ready for Coach Joystick Kelly. Boy, hey, we ain't ruling that out. I'll tell you what else I'm not ruling out. I'm not ruling out Jason Witten getting on this team and being an understudy for a couple of years and then becoming the coach. I'm not ruling that out either. Dang, I have to wake up at 10:30, 11 a.m. Sunday morning trying to prep for that Cowboys game. Yeah, man, I know it's going to mess up a whole lot of folk. And I tell you this, Miss Major, for them folk who do get out before 12, if you don't watch the Cowboy game, man, they going to be trying to hear up run up out of, they going to hear up run out of service on Sunday. They going to run out of service on Sunday. Will it tell you like the Late Show? Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it for sure. We're going to try to get it even going even more. Gabe said, appreciate the show. Check out my other comments on here tonight. I will, for sure. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Till next time, let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Peace.